What up, Junkies? Good morning. Happy Monday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Radio dials, you got a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the YouTube live video stream, the app, and, of course, your Google and Alexa home devices. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this Monday morning quarterbacking edition of the DK show. Yeah, how about that weekend, huh? That was spectacular. If you are a Badger and Packer fan, obviously sarcasm there, in case anybody didn't catch that, but holy moly, I think you guys, this might be like a Monday edition of a little Grind My Gears. Might have to move up the Grind My Gears Tuesday to this Monday. But here's what we got for the game plan coming up here. Packers, ugly yesterday. Ooh, that might be putting it lightly just a little bit. I mean, at least they didn't allow as many points as last year in week one against the Saints. And, hey, they scored more than they did last year week one against the Saints. But hopefully nobody's overreacting too much like last year after week one. I get it. It's frustrating. It was a poo-poo performance to put it clean, but they got 16 more games to go here, but plenty to digest with this ball game, and we'll get into it here in just a little bit for the main course. And I'm sure we've already got some texts coming in there, so we'll get to those coming up in a little bit. But Packers, of course, losing 23-7. 17 points coming in the first half. Packers blanked in the first half. Tried to make it a little bit interesting there, scoring a touchdown in the third, down 20-7, but just couldn't get it going after that. Aaron Rodgers going 22-34 for a $195, 0 tuds, 1 interception, was sacked 4 times. Aaron Jones only carrying the ball 5 times for 49 yards, though, 9.8 average, not bad. A.J. Dillon, 10 carries, 45 yards. A.J. Dillon also leading the ball club in receiving yards and receptions, 5 catches for 46 yards. But next up was Romeo Doubs, 4 catches, and 37 yards. Packers did not have Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins and Alan Lazard in this ball game, but whew, yeah. And then Packers suffering some injuries in this game too. Chris Barnes being carted off in an air cast, that doesn't bode very well. Porter saying that he was on crutches in the locker room, but then you have to factor in Quay Walker also leaving with a shoulder injury, and then all of a sudden now the inside linebacking depth is in some major question. So, we got plenty to get to with this one. I'm going to go so many different routes. I want to talk about Aaron Jones and his lack of usage, if you will. I mean, how do you go into a ball game without Alan Lazard and without your 2 starting tackles, and you only get the ball to 33 8 times, 8 total times, passing and rushing, 3 total times. I don't get it. That's one of my biggest bugaboos from this game. How do you only get the ball to one of your playmakers 8 times? 8 times. And I know Matt LaFleur said after the game, yeah, when you only get Aaron Jones the ball 8 times, that's obviously something wrong. Well, no, you know what? That's unacceptable. 8 times. And then you look at the defense, and it's like, hey, we were talking about it last Friday in my little coach's pep talk speech. All right, enough talk about this defense. Let's see it. Been hearing all about it in the offseason. Been hearing all about it in training camp. Now let's see it on the field, and I mean, you let Justin Jefferson single-handedly beat you. You made Kirk Cousins look like an MVP quarterback, and you made Michael Irvin and Kyle Brandt and other NFL media people smart week one by perhaps picking Kirk Cousins as the MVP. But you had a secondary with Jair and Eric Stokes and Rasul Douglas, and Justin Jefferson goes for 9 catches and 184 yards and 2 tuds. Career highs. Man. All right, I'm just getting it off my chest here. It's only week 1. I get it, but still, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. So we'll dive into this here in just a little bit on that main course here. But beforehand, the day before, Badger football, falling to Washington State, 17-14. 17. They didn't score a single point. Wisconsin in the second half. Nothing. Turnovers, penalties. I mean, good Lord. Goodness gracious. Then towards the end, okay, it's a pick, but then it was a fumble. Badgers recover. A couple plays later, Graham Mertz hits the tight end, Cundiff, over the middle. And then what? Fumbles. And they can't get off the field. They can't stop him on D there. Just frustrating. It was like, what is this? What am I watching here? Just, yuck. I saw a lot of people, and we'll get to this down the line here. Okay, we'll get down to it down the line. But I saw a lot of people on the socials out there calling out Paul Chris. It's starting to get a little frustration, maybe more frustration boiling over for this Badger football team, for Paul Chris. Where do you stand on that side? Where do you stand on the Paul Chris? And I know it's probably talked a little bit more, or the calls are getting a little bit louder because, well, you got a guy like Jimmy Leonard, defensive coordinator, perhaps waiting in the wings. But man, college football was just nuts kind of on Saturday. You had Texas almost beating Alabama. That almost happened. Notre Dame falling to Marshall. I mean, Notre Dame has started the season now 0-2 after being top 5 in the polls there. And I know they had Ohio State in the first game. Kentucky beating Florida in a 20-12, if you're looking at the rankings matchup. BYU beating Baylor in double OT. So we had some crazy games. And then Utah just absolutely dominated, putting up 73 points. But, man, nuts. Week 1 in, the NFL, too, was just nuts. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, pressure's on you tonight with the Broncos, because every single coach yesterday who coached their very first game, I'm not talking about the McDanielses or the Dennis Allens with the Saints. I'm talking about guys who was a head coach for the very first time. They all won yesterday. Eberflus with the Bears, Dabble with the Giants. 2 teams that there wasn't a whole lot of expectations for. I mean, the weather was just god-awful in Chicago. But Chicago gets it done against the 49ers, team that everybody, preseason, Super Bowl caliber roster. And then you had the Titans going up against the Giants. Giants getting it done. Obviously, O'Connell with the Vikings, his first career game as a head coach, gets the W. So Hackett, pressure's on you now, big man. You gotta keep the perfect record, and well, just from the outside in, it's looking fairly good against this Seahawks. We'll see though. And then of course McDaniel with the Dolphins getting the victory over Bill Belichick, Miami over New England. But yeah, it was kind of some. And I got to give a shout out to my 5-year-old. Okay, I got to give a shout out because I told him at the time, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Mini helmet picks. We do that mini helmet pick video. He picked a tie between the Steelers and the Bengals. And I gave him a little bit of flack for it. I gave it to him a little bit. But the kid was literally seconds away from getting it right. You have no idea how much we were rooting for a tie in that Steelers-Bengals game. I got to give that kid credit. He actually picked 2 ties in his mini helmets. He's never picked ties before, but he picked 2 of them. And the other one was actually the Saints and Falcons. He picked a tie. Saints won that one 27-26. So, but got to give a shout out to the kid there for that one. But man, we will throw in a little Brewers stuff. I mean, really, Scotty fans. I mean, Brewers were the only positive thing this past weekend. We did have a tie actually too in the NFL with the Colts and Texans, so we picked the wrong one. But nonetheless, Brewers were like the only positive thing, getting a couple wins, winning the series against the Reds after falling Friday night. They still remain 2 back for that final wild card spot. But now begins. They get the off day today. Off day today and off day Thursday before just a grueling stretch here. They got 2 games against the Cardinals on the road starting tomorrow. Then they return home Friday for a couple series against a couple of New York teams. You got the Yankees, you got the Mets. So this is going to be tough here. And then the team ahead of them right now in that wild card chase is the Padres. And the Padres, if you're doing a little scoreboard watching here, going up against Seattle. In Seattle, they're still in that wild card chase, playing for some positioning perhaps here. So they don't start that series until tomorrow too. So might be a little scoreboard watching at this point when it comes to the Brewers. But Brewers still hanging around, still sitting there, just a couple games out. But maybe this next week and some change, we will get a clear picture. Going to be some tough games coming up against St. Louis here, who 7-3 in their last 10. Pujols is just creeping on up, getting close to 700. At 697 right now. Is he going to be able to add to that against the Brew Crew? I think he's going to get 700 now. I really think he's going to get 700. So, but we'll deep dive more into that series coming up tomorrow. But got to give credit to where credit's due. Brewers were like between the Brewers and the Packers and the Badgers. Brewers were the only positive thing if you were a Wisconsin fan this past weekend. So, all right, let's pull the Band-Aid off here. Let's get to it. Okay. Main course. Let's talk some Packers. Packers falling to the Minnesota Vikings. Hopefully nobody's throwing in the towel after just 1 week, the beginning week of the season. But there was some stuff that we need to talk about. I kind of got it off my chest here a little bit, but yeah, you can hit us up with some texts. All right, we'll start off with the texts. Then we'll open up some phone lines a little bit later on. But hit us up, 715-830-1912 with some text. Also should mention, too, our buddy JC and EC Justice Cleveland will be hopping on at 7. We'll get some updates and recaps from the past couple days on the local side of things. But we begin with little green and gold. Packers begin their season falling to the Vikings. Before we can talk about Bears week, we got to recap what we saw yesterday. Coming up in just a couple minutes.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
It's hunting season, people. You've made it through winter, spring, if you think we actually get a spring, and summer to get to this point. Fall here in Wisconsin is spectacular. Whether you're doing some geese, duck, or bird hunting and you're looking for that new shotgun, Tilden Gun is your place to go because they will help you find just exactly what you're looking for. That's what they did for me when I was looking for one. They helped me find the perfect shotgun that I was looking for turkey hunting. Or maybe you're still waiting for deer season and you need that rifle come November. Well, Tilden Gun can help you find that perfect deer rifle as well because, well, they did that for me too. Welcome to hunting season, everyone. Make sure you're prepared for this season with the help from Tilden Gun. You can start off by visiting Tilden Gun's website at tildengun.com, where you can check out their amazing selection and even better prices. Nobody can match what Tilden Gun can provide for you. Tilden Gun is located at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls.
At Progressive, we know there's nothing like the feeling of riding a motorcycle with your crew on the open road. That symphony of engines roaring in perfect harmony. It's a feeling that would be impossible to recreate on the radio. Until now. Hit it, Jerry. Oh, my word. Really, really terrible. Is that a glockenspiel, Jerry? Quote with Progressive and see if you could save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. No, Jerry. It's over.
This update's sponsored by UW Credit Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. BP wants you to come on back. Earn a free terrace level ticket to select Brewers home games during the 2022 regular season by completing a BP Come On Back card with 7 purchases of 8 or more gallons of gas at participating BP gas stations. Call 414-902-4000 for more details. Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org.
The All of Us Research Program is asking for people to help researchers make healthcare more precise by creating individualized prevention and treatment options. When you join, you'll share your unique health information and become part of the largest and most diverse medical research program ever. The more data researchers have, the more they'll be able to create better care for all of us. Introducing the next breakthrough in medicine, you. Learn more at joinallofus.org/WBA, sponsored by All of Us Wisconsin.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
If you were to listen to Dan Kasper nonstop around the clock for a solid month, you'd become the king of all sports fans, desired by beautiful women, and rich beyond your dreams. I think. Try it and let's see. The Dan Kasper Show.
Summer vacations and road trips may be in the books now, but that doesn't mean that you gotta, maybe got it in your head you don't need to take care of your car, your vehicle, or anything like that. But with school in session now, it's uber important, ultra important to make sure that your car, your vehicle is ready to hit the road, taking those kiddos to school, taking those kiddos to practice, to games, to events, all that sort of stuff. It's probably even busier now than what it was in the summer. So make sure your car's in tip-top shape with the help from ASAP Used Auto Parts. Oil changes, ASAP's got you covered. Tires, they got you covered there. Want to save some money on some auto parts? ASAP Used Auto Parts got you covered there too. So I've got my oil change there. I've gotten tires from there. Just like the name says, ASAP, got her done. Awesome service, customer service, best deals in the area. Check them out for yourself. ASAP Used Auto Parts here in Eau Claire. Next time you need that oil change, or you're in the market for some tires or some batteries, or you want to save some money, some high-quality used auto parts, ASAP Used Auto Parts, your go-to place. Let's jump right into it. So, okay, we know the numbers, right? We went through that already. But the one number that I really want to get into here to kind of kick things off is Aaron Jones. Okay, I ain't gonna do this whole Devontae thing. You know, that was the one thing I will say was kind of getting a little bit annoying on the telecast. By the way, Greg Olson's awesome, and Greg Olson deserves to be a number one color commentator. I know TB12 Tom Brady's going to be replacing him whenever Brady calls it a career, but Greg Olson is fantastic, and he absolutely deserves to be a number one commentator. So whether he's going to stay with Fox and be the number two guy, or I don't even know where he could go to be number one, but Greg Olson is absolutely fantastic. Anyways, numbers. But I was trying to say that the number on the Fox thing, what was kind of getting a little bit annoying was the whole, hey, let's keep track of what Devontae Adams is doing compared to what the Packers receivers are doing. Get it? Got it? Yep, that's going to be a talking point for a lot throughout the whole season for a lot of networks and games. At some point, you got to move on, okay? We're just getting a little bit annoying there. Anyways, Aaron Jones. So Aaron Jones ran the ball 5 times for 49 yards. Aaron Jones caught the ball 3 times for 27 yards. Aaron Jones had the ball 8 times. 8 times. 8 times. I can't even wish it was one more so I could do the Ferris Bueller 9 times. But it was 8. My biggest question, I mean, okay, we kind of thought the offense would go through some ups and downs. Really did. But to have Aaron Jones, one of your best playmakers, perhaps your best offensive playmaker on the roster right now, to touch the ball a total of 8 times, that's unacceptable. And it's unacceptable. And I know LaFleur said, yeah, every time, Aaron Jones only touching the ball 8 times. That's not good and all that. I'm paraphrasing. Well, no, you know what? That's just ridiculous to have Aaron Jones touch the ball 8 times. And I'm not saying to take away anything from A.J. Dillon, because A.J. Dillon was getting on a roll there in the second half. I mean, we saw Quadzilla, the quads getting a good workout in, plowing through some people. But there is absolutely a way to get Aaron and A.J. Dillon their own. Let them eat. So to see Aaron Jones only touch the ball 8 times was, and I thought Greg Olson, did a fantastic job at this one point of breaking down what the Vikings defense was doing with their inside linebackers, dropping them a lot. They were getting deep. They were getting deep in their coverages. And he kind of compared it to, that was the issue with the Packers linebackers, not getting deep enough in that zone. We're going to get to that Packers defense here in a minute. But I thought Greg made a great, if you remember that part in the game where they had the video clip up there and he was kind of showing how deep the Vikings linebackers were dropping and kind of taking away some of those routes. To me, to counter that is, and especially when you don't have your top 2 tackles, and you got that pass rushing duo, you want to get the ball out. You want to get the ball in space. Wouldn't that mean you try to get the ball more to Aaron Jones, or maybe wouldn't you try to get the ball out quicker and to a guy like Bobby Tunyon or somebody out there instead of, deeper routes and that sort of thing? I'm just a dude in Eau Claire. I'd like to know some of those answers. There's reasonings behind it. Matt LaFleur knows 500 million times more about it than I do. Everybody on that roster knows about it 500 million times more than I do. But it's just, no. And that to me would be one of the biggest questions when it came to the offensive side is the game plan. I don't know. And the whole Christian Watson thing, dude knows he can't drop that. I mean, I loved the play call. And I know Matt LaFleur said after the game that was good. That was like the plan for the last couple of days. But I thought that was the perfect play call for that moment. Minnesota goes down looks pretty easy. It's like a hot knife through butter. I mean, they were just going through it. So how do you counter that? Big play, take the energy out, 75-yard tutty, takes that energy out, momentum shift right away. But the kid dropped it. You could just tell it's like, oh no. It's like, oh, something. It was just like, okay, how do you bounce back from that? You got to get something going. You could just feel it collectively, like out of the whole state of Wisconsin, just like, ugh. But man, you feel bad for the kid. I mean, nobody probably feels worse than Christian Watson. You just hope now, I know you got to play after that. Quick out. Matt LaFleur giving him the jet sweep end around play a few plays after that. But it's a game of what if at that point. Would that have changed the whole course of the game? I don't know. Nobody knows. But, and then the defense. I mean, Jair Alexander displayed some frustrations after the game when he was asked about Justin Jefferson and his coverage. And he said afterwards, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said that all week he asked all week to shadow Justin Jefferson. He said that he was talking to the coaches. He wanted Justin Jefferson. And, well, did he? No, I think it was pretty darn obvious he didn't get Justin Jefferson every single game or every single play. But, Jair said he has confidence in his teammates. He said a decision wasn't his to not shadow Jair, or to not shadow Justin Jefferson. If it were up to him, he would have. But Matt LaFleur after the game was asked about it, and he said, "No, if you do that, then you can't play as much zone and all that." Isn't it all about adapting, though? I mean, you let Justin Jefferson have his way with your defense. At some point, something's just not working. 9 catches for 184 yards, career highs for Justin Jefferson. The next closest receiver was Adam Thielen with 36 yards receiving. I get it. It might not be exactly what you want to do on defense if you had to play a little bit more man-to-man, or if you had to put a guy to shadow him there, but it's like, I mean, do you think Deion Sanders would have been okay like back in the day? And I know it's completely different eras than that. I understand that. But, like Deion Sanders versus Jerry Rice. You think there's going to be more times than not Deion wasn't going to cover Jerry Rice? No. Deion was going to be on Jerry Rice. You got one of the premier corners in the game going up against one of the premier wide receivers in the game. Can we please put Jair on Jefferson? I get it. It might go away from completely what your whole defense is built around, but you've got to stop that guy. You've got to stop 18. No offense to Douglas and Stokes, and with zone defenses, Minnesota was able to exploit it, get them matched up on Preston Smith a couple times, Quay Walker a couple times. That's what happens when you're going up against a zone. How do you counter that with an offense? Put them in motion. Create those mismatches. Give credit where credit's due. O'Connell, Minnesota, did a fantastic job of doing that. They did a fantastic job of exploiting that with Jefferson. Shout out to Minnesota for doing that. Minnesota outcoached Green Bay in this game. O'Connell outcoached Joe Barry. Ed Donatel outcoached Matt LaFleur. It's as simple as that. Would it have been different with the tackles out there? Yeah, it probably could have been. But you know what? Green Bay's gone through that before with missing guys up front. Game plan around it. And I don't think Green Bay did a good enough job game planning around it. Obviously. They left a lot on the table. Minnesota wiped. To be honest with you, I'm surprised the score wasn't even more lopsided than 23-7. It's like 23-7. I don't know. I was sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, man, it just feels like Minnesota's been dominating this whole time. And at that point, it was like 20-7. I'm like, can't believe, like, if Green Bay goes and scores a touchdown here, it's like 20-14. Or they actually could they do this? It was kind of like the Pittsburgh and the Bengals game a little bit from yesterday. I mean, how many more interceptions is Joe Burrow going to throw? But, and, I know the whole preseason thing is going to be popping up for people. Here's the thing. It's not as easy as, well, if they would have played preseason, they would have, came out a lot better. No, it's not as easy as that. That's not the simple answer. Minnesota didn't play their starters in the preseason. You have examples of every side of the case. Minnesota didn't do it. Kansas City didn't do it. Kansas City's offense looked pretty good, right? You got examples all across the board. But I will say, this is a couple years now in a row. In fact, if you want to go to Matt LaFleur's first year, when they beat the Bears in that opener, it was 10-3. So, 10-3. But outside the COVID year where they opened up against Minnesota, it's been what? 10-3-7. That's it. There might be something with a little bit of, like, getting your ball club, getting the team motivated. I know Matt LaFleur kind of called them out at halftime, and Greg Olson and the commentators were like, "Wow, Matt LaFleur's calling out his team. That's kind of calling out the energy there." Well, everybody could see it on TV. There was no energy, but that's a couple years in a row now. Now, I don't think it's preseason. It's something leading up to it. Whether it's the week leading up to it, whether it's guys just not getting motivated, and I don't know how the hell you can't get motivated to begin the season, week one. I know it's a long season, but I mean, come on, check your pulse. Got to get this thing going. Week one on the road against a divisional opponent who wants to take your crown. How do you not get motivated for that? Well, it's clearly obvious there was no motivation. Was that coaching? Could be part of it. Was it player leaders? Was it the captains? Could be part of it. Probably all of the above. So I don't want to, I'm not buying the well, they should have played starters in preseason. No, there's too many examples of either side for there to be like a foregone conclusion of that. But I will say there is something leading up to, like, if you look at the last couple of years, and Matt LaFleur acknowledged it after the game. He's like, the last 2 years we've come out week one just awful. But there's obviously something that they aren't doing right to ramp up to begin the season. Their energy and enthusiasm has been poo-poo. Just blah. But it's one game. It sucks that it's a division game. It sucks that it's against Minnesota, who's probably your biggest threat for the division. But it's one game. And this team, you gotta. I don't know if it's one of those scenarios where you throw the tape out. I don't know if I would do it at this point, but it's like, if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm like throwing up highlights of, like, Greg Olson talked again. Greg Olson, I thought, was fantastic yesterday, but he talked a lot about body language on the sidelines and that. This is where these player captains, this is where these leaders got to step it up. I remember the Thursday night game a few years ago when it was the Hail Mary one with Rodgers to Rodgers. And if you remember the beginning part of that game, the Lions were just dominating Green Bay. I mean, the Lions were just having their way with Green Bay. But I remember a point where the camera caught John Kuhn on the sidelines, just, getting in guys' faces, trying to keep them into the game, trying to keep them motivated, going up and down the sideline. And I don't want to say nobody was doing it yesterday, because I wasn't watching the whole sideline, the whole game, obviously. Maybe there was, and we just didn't see it. But that's, when I think about leaders stepping up in that role, trying to keep their teammates, Get their spirits out. Get them still in tune to the game. I go back to that. I just remember it was just a couple seconds, but there was that clip. I think, Packers are down by a couple scores early. John Kuhn was going up there, up and down, and trying to get his team still into it. Because they were still trying to compete they were in danger of missing the postseason. It was at the end of the year. It was in December, I believe. And it took a Hail Mary to win the game, for crying out loud. All right. We got to take a quick break. I'm sure we got some texts. Kind of had it minimized so I don't try to get distracted right now, but I'm sure we got some texts coming through here, so we'll get to those here in just a little bit. But your thoughts on on what you saw from yesterday, you can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We'll open up the phone lines a little bit later on. But your thoughts. What would be your biggest Monday morning quarterback? Like your biggest second guess? I've got two of them, and I already went to them. My Monday morning quarterback second guessing is, how do you not get Aaron Jones the ball more? And please, when you're going up against a premier wide receiver, no offense to the Rasul Douglases and Eric Stokes, but put Jair out there. And Greg Olsen, again, it's like a drinking game with Greg Olsen this morning. But he made a point, too, that he's like, maybe, Joe Barry doesn't want Jair to play the slot because, there's a lot of, trying to maybe keep him clean so he doesn't take a lot of hits because in the slot, there's a lot of traffic, maybe some running plays in there. Then he's going to be up in the pile and that. Okay. This is football, though, too. You know what I mean? Put your best on your best. Easy for us to say over here. Those guys are 500 million times smarter than we are, but we get to second guess it on a Monday morning quarterback. So, all right, let's take a quick break. I'm sure we've got plenty of text coming through here. We'll get to those coming up in just a little bit, but your thoughts, we'll get to some Badgers chat as well.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Does your business have a trusted financial partner you can count on? Hi, I'm Larry from Merchants Bank, a community bank that believes in building community by building businesses. That means we're here to be a resource and a sounding board through the ups and downs of your business. It's about a partnership built on mutual trust and respect. We want to know what makes your business unique and help you reach your next goal, whether that's hiring your first employee or expanding to a new location. If you're ready for that kind of partner, join the Merchants Bank family today.
I'm Captain Ann Maxon with the Wisconsin State Patrol. Safety on our highways is a team effort. Every day, our troopers and inspectors focus on keeping people and commerce moving safely. Drivers can do their part to prevent crashes and needless tragedies by remembering two simple things. Buckle up, phones down. Thanks for helping us move towards zero deaths on Wisconsin roads.
A safety message sponsored by the U.S. and Wisconsin DOTs.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Easy moving and storage, making life easier. Moving across town or just moving on out. Efficient and affordable, that's what we're all about. In the Chippewa Valley since '89. Any move of any size, we don't waste time. Locally owned, we always pick up the phone. EC Moving and Storage, make your life easier.
This update sponsored by UW Credit Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. Introducing Brewers Unfiltered, a brand new podcast covering all things Brewers baseball. Hear from the experts weekly as they deliver news, analysis, and more. Find the latest episode today at brewers.com/unfiltered. Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org.
Because you have high standards and won't settle for anything less, like your wife did. It's the Dan Kasper Show.
Coming up next hour, we'll catch up with JC Nisi, Justice Cleveland, WEAU director, sports director extraordinaire. We'll catch up on some local stuff. We'll open up the phone lines coming up in the next hour as well. But you can hit us up with some texts, 715-830-1912. Catching up, yeah, we got quite a few texts here. Brandon's mom, a little bit beforehand. Brandon's mom here. Where was our great defense that was praised so high? Oh my God, I texted Brandon, told him I am buying a Jefferson shirt. Nice, I love it. Have a great day. Another text here. Mertz is no Graham. He's a complete 8-ball. Living a dream. Jeff, good morning, Dan. Dear Packers of Green Bay, thank you for not showing up in Minnesota. Now I get to listen from my coworkers, friends, and other Minnesota fans that I know until you play them in Green Bay. Hopefully you will show up at that game. Sincerely, living the dream, Jeff. Another text here. All we heard about preseason training camp was how great this defense is going to be and what a steal Romeo was in the draft, who showed what we should expect from them the rest of the season. I did not get to sit down and watch the game, so I'm going off stats and highlights. But I hope that was not the best our defense can look. All the talk before was how we had the best trio of corners, and Jefferson had nobody near him most of the time. Another text here. What kills me is every loss. LaFleur says they need to get the ball to Jones more. Like, dude, you are directly in charge of that. Packers will be fine. They always start slow anyways. G-Man. Captain, the Packers will win against the Bears Sunday night. P.S. Go Brewers. Surveyors say my Monday morning quarterback is catch the dang ball. How can you honestly be an NFL player and not catch a wide open pass? Watson, you single-handedly changed the momentum of the game by that drop ball. You tied up the game and show all of Packers Nation that Rodgers can trust you. But it's week one. Concern level is minimal. I just have to listen to Vikings fans trash talk until we play them again. So it sounds like at least the majority of you so far, you're disappointed. You're disappointed, but you're like, okay, it's week one. We got 16 more games of these to go. Let's see how we can bounce back against Chicago. Let's see how we can bounce back against Chicago. I'm looking at the schedule here. Chicago winning. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm picking Green Bay to beat Chicago in a get-right game. Okay, I'm seeing that. At Tampa Bay might get a little bit more interesting now. I know Tampa Bay defeated the Cowboys last night, but that one's going to be, and to me too, that's going to depend on health. I'm just looking at that inside linebacking group, and I'm like, ooh, because Chris Barnes is going to be out for a while. I don't know what the exact injury is, but it didn't look good, and he was on crutches, air cast. hopefully Quay Walker can get right for that Tampa Bay game because they're going to need him. Some positives from the game yesterday I thought was Quay Walker. I thought he made some great plays. I thought he was around the ball quite a bit. Even for not finishing the game, he was second in the team in tackles, actually had the most solo tackles from the game yesterday. So I hope there's nothing seriously wrong with Quay Walker's shoulder. But, I really love him to be back for that Tampa game. Don't want to get too far ahead, though. Don't want to get too far ahead. But you hope Green Bay bounces back and we see something a little bit better. And I don't know. I think when they put on the tape for this game, I know Aaron Rodgers talked about it. There was a few plays that they missed that could have changed the course of the game. Well, you could say that for a lot of games there, but just that game plan to me, just it didn't quite get it. But it's just week one. Learn and move on and adapt, right? Learn, move on, adapt. I mean, you look across week one in the NFL, and I know we're not completely complete yet because you got Denver and Seattle, but, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, that game barely getting a win by the Steelers. Just seconds remain, or no time left with that field goal. But, you had Joe Burrow who throws 4 interceptions in the game, and he loses a fumble, yet the Bengals were still in it. Then you had the Colts and the Texans finishing in a tie, 20-20. Washington just edging out Jacksonville. Chicago getting a victory over the 49ers. I'm really curious to know what the talk is in San Francisco now. Is there going to be some quarterback talk? Jimmy G and Trey Lance. It is just 1 week, and the weather was. That was just holy moly. That field. It was like Lake Michigan was pouring into Soldier Field over there. But every loss that the 49ers have, there's going to be talk. There's going to be chatter. The Eagles just escaping Detroit, 38-35, high-scoring affair. Philly putting up 24 points in the second quarter. A.J. Brown looks like a pretty darn good trade there for the Eagles. Then you had New Orleans with a comeback against Atlanta. Then Atlanta, they had a shot there with that field goal. It would have been, they had to really tattoo that thing and get some little oomph in the hamstring to get that through. But New Orleans escaping, Cleveland escaping with the victory, 26-24 against Baker Mayfield's Carolina Panthers. We mentioned it, the Giants going for 2 at the end, getting the victory, 21-20. Chargers, even with Devontae putting up a bunch of numbers, Chargers getting the victory over the Raiders. And then you had Tampa Bay, just putting up 19 there, but it was enough to get it done against the Dallas Cowboys, who now don't have a quarterback. Remember Cooper Rush? If after all the cutdowns, Cowboys were a team that only carried one quarterback, and Cooper Rush was on their practice squad, and they elevated him. Now they're going to have to put him on the active roster. But Dak Prescott's going to miss about 6 to 8 weeks. If it's 8 weeks, his first game back will be against Green Bay. But they'll know more after that surgery and such. But kind of a nuts, crazy-filled week one in action in the NFL. But what was your biggest, if you could, in our Monday morning quarterbacking, if there was something that you could, what was your biggest second guess? All right, what was the biggest second? Was it the Aaron Jones thing? Was it the Jair Alexander thing? You can say both. They're my both. But if you had to just pick one, what was the biggest one for you? And it sounds like, too, for the injury side of things, in case anybody didn't hear, it does sound like, at least, we've heard it from Bakhtiari. I haven't heard it about Elton Jenkins, but it sounds like Bakhtiari is not going to play against Chicago. That was the talk yesterday. I think it was our I know Tom Pelissero was the first one to say that the Packers wouldn't have Elgton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, but it was Ryan Wood, who covers Packers, PackersNews.com, that mentioned that Bakhtiari is probably going to be held out for that game against Chicago as well. So assuming that might be the same for Elgton Jenkins. But you've got those two guys out against Chicago. Maybe they're eyeing up a return against Tampa Bay. And Alan Lazard, he was on Friday after practice. Alan Lazard did answer a couple of questions from some of the media people in there. He said he got stepped on by a defensive lineman. But at that time, when they asked him, what's your chances of playing on Sunday? And his answer was like, I'll have to pray for that to happen. And then they asked if it was like a long-term thing, and he was non-committal and says, I don't look past essentially the next day. I don't look past tomorrow. But I did see in one of the clips that the Packers posted yesterday, I think it was Preston Smith coming off the field in warm-ups, Alan Lazard walked in the background. And Alan Lazard, if you don't know his pregame routine, he goes around and kicks a soccer ball. Part of his pregame routine is he goes around, he carries a soccer ball, and he kicks it around the field. And as Preston Smith, they were recording Preston Smith, saw Alan Lazard walking behind him, and he was carrying a soccer ball. So I'm assuming he was still doing his soccer ball kicking routine. Don't know if that means anything. Don't know if that kind of insinuates where he's at. Could he have played if it was like a playoff game or later in the season? I don't know. But I was like, okay, well, if he's got a foot injury and he's going around and he's kicking a soccer ball, maybe eventually, maybe not going to be a long-term sort of thing at that point. But we'll see against Chicago. All right. Like we said, we'll open up the phone lines next hour. If you want to give us a shout there. We got Justice Cleveland also joining us in the next hour. I think he was at the game yesterday too, so we'll get his thoughts on what he saw in person. Plus, get a recap on some of the local stuff. I know Blue Gold football, they fell over the weekend too. We'll get some updates on the high school football action, the high school football scene from this past weekend. We'll hit up some Badger talk too. Badger football falling to Washington State 14-17. Badgers, no big surprise, dropping out of the rankings now. And they got New Mexico State coming to Camp Randall this weekend, and then Ohio State after that at Ohio State. But are you on the side, or maybe you're approaching that side, where you're starting to question Paul Chryst? Are you starting to question whether or not he should be the head coach, or should he be on the hot seat? Or maybe he's already on the hot seat for a lot of you. What side are you on? All right. Hit us up with some texts, 715-830-1912. Also, we'll hit up some studs and duds. We'll get to that just past the 8 o'clock hour, studs and duds list. So I'm sure you guys got plenty of duds on there, but if you can think of some studs, put that on your list too, all right? I want both studs and duds. We'll do that just past 8 o'clock. How about that? We'll do that just past 8 o'clock, okay? So, all right, Sir Bear. I just saw that kind of pop through there. 1 hour already in on this, well, how should we term this Monday morning? The sky's not falling, everybody. It's not falling. We got 16 more games of these to go. Well, I mean, unless you had national championship or college football playoff expectations for the Badger football team, then I think it's safe to say kiss those goodbye. But we'll see what happens down the end. But I don't know of too many people who had those expectations when it came to the Badger team. All right, one in. 2 more to go. We'll kick it off with some sports nuggets, and we'll catch up with JC in the EC. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire. W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Well, 21 years ago, we were waking up to a much different world as many places around the country had 9/11 remembrance ceremonies yesterday.
There were moments of silence and bell tolls at the times the planes went into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and went down in Shanksville, and when the Twin Towers collapsed.
George John Bishop. Chris Romeo Bushundat.
Family members of victims read names of the nearly 3,000 killed on 9/11 and gave personal messages. This guy turned to the many politicians in the crowd, which included Vice President Kamala Harris.
And I want to remind all of you there, it should not take another tragedy to unite our nation.
At the 9/11 memorial, Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Here in our area, we look at headlines that show an Arkansas man in custody after leading police on a chase through Durand. That's according to Benton County Sheriff's Office. Sean Bauer led officials on the chase. He struck a squad car twice. A taser was also deployed, and during that time had no effect on him as Bauer fled. Officials say for the safety of the community, they did not pursue him through residential yards, but he was soon found barricaded in a home and apprehended without further incident. Looking at other headlines that show Mother Nature in another part of the state, if you have plans to travel to the southeast part of Wisconsin, just a heads up, National Weather Service is issuing probability of flash flooding. Here's what's happening there.
As of late last night, 7 or more inches of measurable rainfall was registered in Racine County alone. The National Weather Service advises those living in the region to still take precautions on roadways, despite the fact that a flood warning expired this morning at 3 a.m. The warning covered Kenosha, Milwaukee, Racine, Walworth, and Waukesha counties. Flood conditions are expected in urban areas as well as rivers, streams, and low-lying terrain in the affected region. I'm John DeMaster.
A public health advisory has been issued in Wisconsin as fentanyl overdose cases continue to rise. The Department of Health is encouraging drug users to use recently legalized fentanyl test strips before using drugs. Those test strips are illegal in 19 states, but here in Wisconsin, they became legal in March. Nearly 50,000 fentanyl tests were distributed last year throughout our state, and Wisconsin is investing $2 million into making these test strips more widely available. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. That's according to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. And I'm sure you guys are going to be doing plenty of talking today. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say.
You know, we knew going into this game that stopping their lead dogs really offensively and defensively were going to be an important part of it. And certainly we didn't get that done.
What about 12? What does Aaron Rodgers have to say about yesterday's, well, whatever you want to call it?
We hurt ourselves many times, myself included. I had a lot of opportunities to score more than 7.
What about calling a truce, Kasper? You got plenty of wounds to lick today from that Packers game. Should we just get along?
Certainly we didn't get that done.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
We'll start off the morning with a bit of cloud cover, but slowly clear out from west to east, giving way to more sunshine later this afternoon. But it'll be a pretty great fall day as we'll have temperatures climbing only to the low 70s. Later on tonight, mostly clear and much chillier as we dip to the mid 40s for our overnight lows. However, tomorrow we'll have plenty of sunshine and our temperatures will rebound nicely as we warm it up to the upper 70s and low 80s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
It's time to take a look at some farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. Calling all college students. The Dairy Management Incorporated New Product Competition, formerly known as the National Dairy Council's New Product Competition, is accepting applications for innovative products that focus on dairy's qualities related to calming. The program is open to U.S. undergrad and graduate students to develop products in line with industry and consumer insights to uncover innovative dairy-based products that offer calming benefits. Successful entries will meet competition criteria, demonstrate innovation, and provide value to consumers. The winning team will earn $8,000, with second place receiving $5,000 and $3,000 going to third place. The deadline for these submissions is January 16th. The results are in. The Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection has certified the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board election results. Kevin Bork was elected for District 3, Jonathan Gibbs for District 4, and Patrick Malooly for District 5. They started their 3-year term on September 1st. According to the Wisconsin Ag Connection, 2 prominent Case IH farm equipment dealerships in the state have joined forces. Johnson Tractor announced it has acquired Value Implement. The deal was finalized on September 1st, which brings the combined total locations between the two companies to 9. The newly acquired Value Implement locations were located in Osseo, Menominee, Arcadia, and Baldwin. And opening bow season is less than a week away, and the Wisconsin DNR is reminding hunters to know their target before they shoot, which means understand the difference between elk and white-tailed deer this hunting season. For one, elk are 1 to 2 feet taller than deer. 2, their horns tilt up and back, unlike white-tailed deer, and they have different markings. After being reintroduced in the state back in 1995, there are currently 2 herds containing a total of more than 450 elk in the state. That's a look at some of your farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. I'm Kristen Smith.
Wendy's new homestyle French toast sticks are so good, some are saying they're better than their moms. Perfectly crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's new homestyle French toast sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it!
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it!
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth!
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time! Prime time!
Second hour kicking off on this Monday morning quarterbacking. Dan Kasper Show on the air. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you are tuning in. Keep your thoughts coming. We'll catch up on some more texts a little bit later on. Coming up here now, we'll do some sports nuggets of the day. We'll talk some Badger football, too. That other football team that just looked ugly this past weekend. But, hey, before we get to some sports nuggets, I did see JC pop in just a couple minutes ago. Good morning, JC.
Good morning, Dan.
All right. Were you celebrating this morning on National Video Games Day?
I don't know. Tecmo did not tell me the truth about the Packers-Vikings game. So
I know we've talked
today.
Yeah, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but your favorite video game of all time is what?
Oh, Tecmo Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with baseball.
Oh, well, see, it would be maybe a tie.
Okay.
I think Tecmo has more in my heart because that's what I played when I was more of a kid.
Right.
I was 25 when MVP baseball came out, 2005. So
okay.
Which game have I logged the most hours on? MVP might be there.
Yeah.
Really mid-20s there. Spent a lot of time. I mean, I think I was for a 2005 game, I think I was on year 2018.
Oh,
and
wow.
if you do the math, that's a 162 game season. That's a lot of, I mean, the games are only like a half hour, a little bit 30, maybe 35 minutes long, but that's still a lot of time.
You played every single one of those and you didn't sim them or anything?
I was not a sim guy. I would play them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So look at where you're at today. So well worth it, man.
Thank you. It's totally because of the video game.
The rest of you, your favorite video game, you can hit us up since it's National Video Games Day. There's a bunch of different ones. I always find it like when I Googled it, there's another one on July 8th, but this one has games plural, so it's like a little bit different. So it's different.
There's a day for everything, literally everything.
There's like 12 different national beer days and that sort of thing too. So let's got a couple of sports nuggets. Let's go 1979. Carl Yastrzemski of the Boston Red Sox became the first American League player to get 3,000 career hits and 400 career home runs. 1984, Michael Jordan signed I don't think this year is right because he was drafted in 85. Michael Jordan signed a 7-year contract to play with the Chicago Bulls. Dwight Gooden, 1984, of the Mets, set a rookie strikeout record with his 251st strikeout of the season. And then we got 2002, a judge announced that a jury would have to decide who would get the ball that Barry Bonds hit for his record 73rd home run. The ownership of the ball, with an estimated value of $1 million, was being disputed between two men that had been in the bleachers. Think we'll get that if Albert Pujols gets 700 this year, which I think he is going to go get it now. But you got to give it to Pujols, don't you? Or at least Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I mean, you would hope that somebody would give it to Pujols.
Yeah,
like the Bonds one. I think at that point, people kind of, I don't know, was it as big of a deal? It was a big deal, but it didn't seem like as big because McGuire had just done all his hitting and stuff a couple years prior. But yeah, Pujols getting to 700, I think. Yeah, I hope it gets to him. That to me, what he has done this year, especially, just kind of coming back there, it's been special. It's been a really good thing for baseball to see him go back to St. Louis and do this. I mean, as much as we don't want to have, you don't want to have St. Louis having success if you're a Brewers fan. Watching Albert Pujols get close to 700 has been pretty fun.
Yep. Yeah. Memory serves me right. Even like when Bonds was doing that, didn't we kind of suspect something was going on at that time?
Yeah, I think so. I think the way he went from his weight, his head size, I think it was the hat size was always the big thing. So yeah, we don't have, again, allegedly he was never.
Yep.
Though he's never getting into I don't think he's ever getting in the Hall of Fame.
No, and we've never heard anything about that with Pujols. So I feel like he's going to get. Maybe we should talk over 700 now. He only needs 3 to get it.
Right. I just hope he gets to 700. I mean, it's going to be. I don't know how many other guys are going to get to 700. I mean, it's an amazing feat to have that longevity and to do what he's done this year. To hit 18 home runs at age 42 is not an easy thing. And he's been playing very, very well for him. So it's nice too, because I mean, if he does, obviously he said he's retiring. Not many of the guys in their last year ride out into the sunset with good stats.
Right.
He's going to have a solid year no matter what happens here towards the final couple weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Like, who would be the next? I mean, I'm looking at some of the active players outside of the Miguel Cabreras, who's 39 years old and he's at 506. He ain't getting 700. Let's be real. Then you've got Giancarlo Stanton. He's got 373. He's 32, but I don't think he's going to. Nelson Cruz is 39th, but he's 41 years old already. So.
Yeah, I don't think maybe he's got the Tom Brady blood.
Yeah, right. Mike Trout, he's got 344, but he's 30 years old, so maybe, but he's got to stay healthy for that to happen. So
it's still only halfway there.
Yeah,
into 700. I think he'll get to 500. I mean, Trout's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could almost, he could retire now and people would put him in, and I would.
Right.
So yeah, I think in Stanton, I mean, obviously when you hit 60 home runs. It makes it a lot easier. I mean, that's what Bonds did. He had just crazy years. So I mean, Stanton's not having. I mean, obviously, is Aaron Judge be another guy you would want to throw in there? I get those two because they're just such great players. It's kind of like Maris and Mantle right now for them. Not quite to that level, obviously, but I mean, when you have two guys like that can hit home runs like that, so Judge is 30 as well, though.
And then, I'm looking at a couple guys. Bryce Harper's 29. He's got 283. And Manny Machado's 29. He's got 279. Maybe. I don't know. That's still.
But you got to consistently, like an Albert Pujols, hit home runs in the 40s.
Right.
Like 40 home runs a year and just keep doing it. I mean, that's what Hank Aaron did. Just hit 40, 30, upper 30s consistently. You get one, Albert Pujols has 150 home run year. Or I know that's doubles. No, he never did have a 50 home run year. That's right. So it's like him and Hank Aaron are like the guys who just were so consistent to get to that number.
Even A-Rod at the beginning part of his career, depending on when, because he was like, when he first exploded, he was 36, 23, but then it was like that stretch of 40s and 50s to get up there. But we know what. So
right. So Ken Griffey, one that'll be always the biggest what if.
Right.
If he had stayed healthy, I think he gets to 700 because he got to 630.
I agree.
And he missed basically 4 years of his career with injury. And if he stays healthy, he's 700 home runs, and who knows, where he would have ended up. So that'll be the biggest what if. I think it's almost lost how great of a pure player, pure athlete Ken Griffey was at everything that he did. And I think he's almost, I mean, it's not Bo Jackson like, but as a guy who just went out there and everything he touched was just amazing.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who ends up stepping up from this generation to kind of be like that too.
I agree. Justice, were you at the game yesterday?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
was.
And what was it like being there? What did you see in person? I mean, everybody's kind of a little frustrated, but for the most part, I will say people are like, hey, it's week one. It's week one. We got 16 more games to go here. Let's maybe not panic too much. But what stood out to you the most watching that game yesterday?
I mean, it's hard to deny that first play for offense for the Packers of if that goes and that hits, it's probably a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, it could have been much worse than 23-7. The way the Vikings offense was moving at times. That the biggest thing that stood out to me was just why Justin Jefferson was as open as they were leaving him. The cushion that they were giving him at times, and I think it's a credit to the Vikings because they found the space in the Packers zone. And the big question was, why isn't Jair Alexander on Justin Jefferson? But by the time you got to that point, it was too late.
Yep.
So it looked like a Vikings team that was just ready to go. Everything they were doing was crisp, especially that first drive. And when they needed it, they found the big play. And that was the opposite for the Packers. They just did not they did not look like they were ready for game speed yet. I think especially that, on offense at times, they're just, and it's having young wide receivers. I don't think the ability for them to make those little things that they need to make was there yet. So I think it was, it's growing pains, and that's what Aaron Rodgers said. I like how Aaron Rodgers has always been honest. So that's not something that he was honest after the game. He's like, yeah, there's going to be growing pains, but he's not giving them excuses. He's not saying these are rookies. He's saying that they're NFL players for a reason, and they have to go out there and execute like NFL players. So, I mean, it couldn't have went out better for the Vikings. I mean, it was. You have Justin Jefferson doing what Justin Jefferson does. Dalvin Cook, I think maybe the Packers geared up maybe more for Dalvin Cook than they did for the passing game, and that kind of came back to get him as well. And Kirk Cousins, I mean, there's the two faces of Kirk Cousins, and that was the good Kirk Cousins that we saw yesterday too. So all in all, just it was a stinker for the Packers, but there was no panic in the locker room. I think more, if you saw anything, it was more from maybe the rookies kind of disappointed that they didn't get a win in their first game. Yeah, but I think the veterans all know that this team has enough talent that they can do what they did last year and come back and start running a few wins together.
So you were in the locker room after the game for a little bit?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. First time on 3 years, 4 years.
Look at that. Did you hear anything about Quay Walker by chance?
I did not. No. I know I saw Barnes was on crutches, and obviously when you're on an aircast,
right, that and get cutting off, I figured that wasn't probably very good. So
yeah. So,
but there's that question now with the inside linebacker depth. If Quay Walker's going to miss time too, you only got 2 inside linebackers on this team,
right? I mean, there's going to, and you could see it on Brian Gutekunst's face. He was ended up riding the elevator down from. That's a long day for him.
Yeah,
and it's only a longer, right now, this week, just getting prepared for a game against the Bears, that's going to come real quick. So, yeah, it was just ugly, and you could see it on everybody in that locker room. To a team knew that this team needs to perform much better than that, and they know they can. So, again, I think you maybe that first play hits, it's a tie game. You're not falling behind. You're not in panic mode almost already in the second, first and second quarter, and you get to use those running backs a little bit more because Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, if they would have had a chance, I think would have dug a little more deeper into that Vikings defense. But when you're already behind like that, you're in kind of scramble, and you have to start trying to find ways to catch up. And obviously, when that's happening, usually your rushing game is the first thing that gets hurt.
Back to the Jefferson thing, and I know Jair said after the game plan was to not allow 18 to beat us, 18 being Justin Jefferson's number. We did much better in the second half than the first. Why I wasn't on him, that's not my call. Anybody who watches me play, that's what I want, but we played much better in the second half. But the first half, he looked like a premier receiver in the league. And I'm going to have to disagree with you, C-Bomb. C-Bomb had texted earlier. The issue wasn't Justin Jefferson or the defense. yeah, we could have done something better there. The issue was the O-line and the game plan looking for deep shots. I think to say that Justin Jefferson wasn't an issue, I mean, the guy, you could say single-handedly took it to that Packers defense, Justice. I mean, the Green Bay didn't have an answer for him, or their answer
Right.
wasn't good enough.
No, it wasn't. I just questioned it all through the game. Is just the amount of cushion you're giving a guy who is a top 5 wide receiver in the league, and looked like and was the top receiver in the league this week. So it was almost, this is just it looked like they were they were more worried about Adam Thielen. Like Jefferson was going to be a disguise and Thielen was going to be the one that they were worrying about. But for how much they've struggled the last couple of years, that Vikings offense is, I mean, when all those phases are clicking, good luck to anybody really stopping him. When Kirk Cousins has the confidence and isn't, throwing bad passes, and he has Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen right there, and then Dalvin Cook obviously is one of the top 5 running backs in the league as well. That's a team that could be dangerous. It's just somehow they haven't been able to put it all together for a full season. But maybe this is the year. Maybe Kevin O'Connell coming over there, taking over, has changed something. But they just look like a team that was ready to go week 1, where the Packers just did not. Yeah. And I can go with the offensive line too. I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers was scrambling at times, but there was no one to throw to.
Right.
But you saw the glimmer of hope. You saw the Aaron Jones being Aaron Jones. You saw AJ Dillon, some of those runs he was making there, just hard nosed, what we expect from AJ Dillon. But you also saw that Christian Watson ran right past Patrick Peterson. Like that should be even though he didn't catch that ball, that should show you something right there. That this kid has speed, and they just need to start to harness it. You can't write him off right away, because I go back to Devontae Adams all the time, and the struggles he had early in his career. Keep a little faith, because if he can capture it with that speed, that's going to be a huge weapon.
Well, Randall Cobb apparently, they said on a telecast, can't remember which guy said it, but they said that Randall Cobb told him that Christian Watson's Mike Evans, that big, fast type of wide receiver. Now, Randall Cobb, that's obviously his teammate, but that's still high praise to call a youngster. Yeah, he's like Mike Evans.
Right. And the fact that they designed that play to go to Christian Watson, all week, Rodgers talked about it in the post-game presser about how they're like, are you sure you want to try this on the first play? And Rodgers was like, yeah, let's do it. So they have faith that Christian Watson can be that guy. Better than I can say his name, apparently. And so, yeah, I think we'll see coming up against the Bears here this week what this wide receiver core can do. But I think it's a good, it's a way for them. They got to build from this. Hopefully they don't lose confidence. That's always a big thing.
I agree. All right, we got to take a quick break here. Then I want to touch on some Badger football stuff. Badgers falling to Washington State. Surveyor already saying fire Paul Crest, and he's not the only one. A lot of people voicing their frustrations with the Badger football team and Paul Crest over the weekend. So I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. And then coming up next, we'll switch gears over to a little Badger football after these quick words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
As an emergency medical technician, I hope motorists can remember these 4 life-saving words. Buckle up, phones down. It means wear a seatbelt, every seat, every trip. And when driving, stay focused on the road ahead. Protect yourself, spare your family, and emergency responders from needless trauma.
Do your part to help us move towards 0 deaths on Wisconsin roads. A safety message sponsored by the U.S. and Wisconsin DOTs.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, September 16th, with Govin's Farm Corn Maze and Buddies on Board. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Football season is here, and if you're like me, it's got me thinking about the good old days. Friday night lights, touchdowns, cool fall weather, and those old sports injuries. Let me ask you a quick question. Are you still dealing with some pain from those old sports injuries? Is that pain still bothering you today? Let's change that. Start living that pain-free life. And you can accomplish that with the help from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. To start living that pain-free life today, visit cvosm.com to get started.
He may not be the smartest sports talk host, but darn it, he gives 110% every time. Now here's your host, Dan Kasper.
With the opening of bow season coming up this weekend, don't forget to send us your picks to add up to the Tilden Gun Trophy Board. All available at sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the Nation tab there. You can see everybody's submissions already for the trophy board. But just keep that in mind when you got bow season coming up this week. And I know we got some other hunting seasons already starting, bear and such. So don't forget to always send us those photos for the Tilden Gun Trophy Board. By the way, I forgot to mention this a little bit earlier. Hopefully he's still listening. But G-Man, hopefully you had a fantastic birthday on Saturday. So
yes, happy birthday, G-Man.
Happy birthday, G-Man. G-Man, Justice and I, we will work out a date to get that beverage with you too. So if you're listening, G-Man, we're working on it. Okay. So happy 61 years young, Mr. G-Man.
Cheers to you, G-Man.
Cheers to the man, the Hall of Famer, as we call him around here. So. All right, bottom of the hour here, Justice. So, I mean, to tee it up before the game yesterday, the Badgers falling to Washington State, 17-14, which led to a lot of, well, let's just say calls from fans that maybe kind of wondering if we should be putting Paul Chryst more on the hot seats. What, I don't know if Paul Chryst would actually be on the hot seat. I don't know if the Badgers and Chris McIntosh would actually put him there, but, I'm sure there's a lot more calls with it because you have a guy like Jimmy Leonard on your staff, and maybe that puts a little bit more pressure on you. But there were a lot of frustrations with that offensive performance on Saturday. I would say there was more to it, though, too. You had turnovers, you had penalties. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, the offensive line, it was, I don't know what was going on, but do you think Paul Chryst is going to be on that getting that hot seat? Is it getting a little bit warmer in your opinion?
I don't really think he is.
Yeah.
I think there's always that grass is greener on the other side feeling with a lot of sports in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
But my frustration with it is that you preached and talked about this change of offense, or at least getting a little more offensive philosophy or a change in philosophy a little bit. Obviously, you're not, when you have Braylon Allen, you're still going to run the ball. But it just looked as flat as it's always looked. But the passing game, especially, that's what I'm saying. Is it did. There still doesn't seem to be much creativity in that offense. It seems so straightforward at times that I don't think defenses are totally fooled at a whole lot of things. But again, you have Braylon Allen who, mustered up 98 yards, but maybe Graham Mertz did throw the ball too much. I don't know. I mean, 31 attempts is a lot of attempts for a Badgers quarterback. So they were just flat. I mean, that maybe that's the theme of the weekend for both the Badgers and the Packers. Flat, making just uncharacteristic mistakes. The defense did what the defense had to do. You give up 17 points. You expect your offense to muster more than 14, especially against a Washington State team that is not supposed to be at your level, even though they're coached by a guy from Stevens Point, UW Stevens Point.
Did you go to school with him, or was that before or after?
No, he would have been past me. He might have been there I can't remember what his freshman year was. All the good Point people like Jordan Zimmerman, JP Fireeisen, him, Dick Deeker, they all came right after.
Well, you
me.
set the tone.
I laid the groundwork.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we got to do much better than this guy did here at Point, and they all have. So, but yeah, it's a tale as old as time. The Badgers struggling in a non-conference game early in the season. I mean, we've seen it constantly, not just when Paul Chryst was there, not just when Brett Bielema was there, even when Barry Alvarez was there. It just seems like they seem to have a game where they just can't put it all together. To do that at home, though, too, that's even, that hurts even more. So, yeah, I mean, they got 5 days to New Mexico State, and then they got Ohio State after that. Now, obviously, if you can turn it around, that Ohio State game is going to be the game that's really going to see what this team has.
Yeah. Interesting text here. We got a text. Iowa's in the same boat with Kirk Ferentz. Fans are finally sick of the same offense after 24 years. Wisconsin and Iowa still play 1985 offense. Nothing wrong with it, but something needs to change. So, I mean, would that be you think a good comp? Kirk Ferentz and Paul Chryst kind of, the same boat here a little bit?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're both
obviously Ferentz has been around a lot longer, but
right. They're more traditional offenses. They're not spread offenses. They're more, it's going to be in the trenches is where they want to win the games. I just don't know if honestly, if the Badgers receiving wise, is there enough weapons there to be going downfield a lot?
Right.
I just don't know if. And DK seems like he has the talent, but I'm not sure. It's just there doesn't seem to be a lot of separation a lot of the times. But this is, I just go back to like the Russell Wilson days too. They still were able to get the ball downfield and obviously have really good running games. So I don't know. There's a lot more questions after this game, obviously, than there are answers to what this Badgers team can be, especially on offense.
So I mean, this is the one thing that I struggle with college football, and that's mostly because of the team that I follow and cheer for. But if you had any sort of like playoff expectations for the Badgers, I didn't, but still, they're out the window after week 2. You know what I mean? Like it ain't happening now.
Unless Washington State goes undefeated.
That too. I mean, we kind of have to cheer for Washington State, don't we? If you're a Badger fan, you want to cheer for Washington State that they can just, go on this magical run, make that loss look a little bit better.
I mean, if you're Wisconsin, you come out, you got to beat New Mexico State, obviously. But if you come out and stun Ohio State,
then it's something different. Yeah.
Then it changes the fortunes there. But you're looking at what they did against Washington State. I know defensively they're going to play Ohio State tough, but I don't know if they right now. What can they do on offense? I mean, Braylon Allen's going to have to do more, which is tough. I mean, he had 21 carries for 98 yards. He grinded it out. They didn't break. I think they're almost betting so much on breaking that big run as those are their big plays. Instead of the big pass play, it really is the big run that they have had traditionally. You're gonna, with the amount of talent they've had at running back, somebody's going to break one. But when they don't, they struggle, and that's what happened. I mean, the longest one for Braylon Allen was 17 yards. He didn't reach the end zone. Yeah, I think when that running game's not performing at a 200-yard clip, like they can, there almost seems like there's a little more panic with that offense.
Yeah, and then you look at the Big Ten West. I mean, the Gophers. I mean, they're off to a Gophers, I guess you want to compare it, they beat New Mexico State 38-0 the first week of the season. Then they went out and, Western Illinois, but put up 62 points. They got Colorado this weekend, and Michigan State. That's going to be a good game. Same weekend, the Badgers go up against Ohio State. But you're looking at offense. You got to give credit to the Gophers. They're putting up some big points right now, taking care of business against inferior opponents. So, kind of look at that West. Everybody was picking the Badgers to come out there, but Gophers maybe at least in the early going saying, "Hold on a second there, row the boat," or whatever the heck they say. I can't. Yeah, whatever PJ Flex says. Row the boat. Yeah,
row the boat.
Is it row the boat? Okay.
Row the. He says it. I hear he says it a lot too. And ski you ma.
Oh, that one too.
That also gets said a lot too.
Yeah.
No, I mean, credit to them. When you've scored 100 points and your opponent's only scored 10 in the first 2 games of the season, that's what you're supposed to do in these non-conference games.
Mm-hmm.
So Colorado will be a little tougher, maybe opponent for them coming up this week. But yeah, like you said, that Michigan State game. So I mean, that weekend with Michigan State, Minnesota, and Ohio State, Wisconsin, that's that'll show you what's the difference in these leagues right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if these 2 teams, you want to get to that upper tier, you've got to beat one of these top 15, top 10 teams. And obviously the Badgers have had their history with Ohio State, and it's not going to be easy at Ohio State. But again, if you're going to do anything with this season and want to get to an upper tier bowl, it's got to happen, and it's got to start obviously this week with New Mexico State and Jerry Kill. And don't discount the fact that there's a guy who's played against Wisconsin a few times when he was the coach at Minnesota. So he's going to probably know what to expect when you face the Badgers. I mean, almost everybody does. It's going to be running, but yeah, then you gear up for that Ohio State game, and you got to figure out something to keep this season going. Or yeah, you got to beat New Mexico State, because if you lose that one and then you lose to Ohio State, then it's the pressure cooker is definitely going to be on Paul Chryst. If it's not, like you said, it's already on by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, are people just wanting to get rid of the Badgers coaches? Like, what is because I mean, how many times has Greg Gard been there too? In that it's like, well, we got to go get somebody else. Greg Gard's offense isn't doing it. So I don't know. I like the fact that you have guys that want to stay, that are in state, I like that part, but I understand too where people always are looking at, somebody else could do something better with this team. So,
well, is the talk louder because Jimmy Leonard's on there and Badger fans don't want to lose Jimmy Leonard to another team to be a head coach?
I think so.
It's kind of like Jerry Jones with his Cowboy assistants. Doesn't want to lose the Jason Garrett's or the Kellen Moores or anything like that.
Yeah, always stockpiling another coach.
Yeah,
in the wings. So yeah, I think. And again, I think the Badgers defense, they did what they had to do. Well, when the offense isn't doing anything and you're on the field as much as they are and the offense is turning the ball over, you're going to give up those points. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. I think people would have loved to see if they could if anybody was going to take over, Jimmy Leonard would be the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just, Jimmy Leonard too. He ain't gonna leave for, and no offense to these schools, but like a Division I AA or anything like that. His stock is way too high, and he's not gonna. I can't see Jimmy Leonard, because he had opportunities to go be defensive coordinator for Alabama or something like that. I can't see that happening with Jimmy Leonard.
Right, and he's showing such loyalty to Wisconsin, especially with the pro jobs that have probably been offered to him as well,
including Green Bay. Yeah,
right. So. Yeah, we will see how this all works out.
Mm-hmm. But maybe Jimmy Leonard's also like in the same boat how Paul Chryst started his career. Remember, he had to go to Pittsburgh for a couple of years before he came back. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Tell you what here, JC, let's take a quick break. We got to restart the Zoom anyways here in a few minutes. Then coming up, let's do a quick recap of some of the high school football action that we saw from this past week here. But we'll get to that. We got a few more texts to get to. We will touch a little bit on the Brewers as well. Brewers 2 games back in the wild card. Believe it or not, Brewers were like the only positive from this past weekend if you're a Wisconsin sports fan, that is. So we'll take that quick break. catch up on a few other things. Recapping last few days on some local sports with JC and the EC, Justice Cleveland, after these quick words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
If you book your move with Dan the Moving Man in the last 2 weeks of September, Dan the Moving Man will donate clothes to local kids shelters for each move booked. You don't even have to move during the last 2 weeks of September. Just book now for a future move through Dan the Moving Man during the last 2 weeks of September and get great moving service while helping keep kids warm in the Chippewa Valley. For every local move booked, they donate $50. For every long distance move, they donate $200. Also, you can drop off or they can pick up donations as well. Get all the info at danthemovingman.com. Dan the Moving Man. They like to move it, move it.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, September 16th, with Govin's Farm Corn Maze and Buddies on Board. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
or
Yard work is hard, much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
it may be even subtler, like,
Speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Thinking about buying or building a home this year? Hi, I'm Ben from Merchants Bank. When you work with us, you have the support of the whole Merchants team. We share your home dreams and we'll do everything we can to see you reach your goal of a new home. And that starts by making things easy, like being able to apply for your mortgage when it fits your schedule. I'm just a phone call or email away to answer your questions. Start now at merchantsbank.com and let's achieve your goals together. Equal housing lender, subject to approval.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy. Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 10/1. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
More than the scores. More than the news. It's Sports Out the Squeaker. The Dan Kasper Show.
When it comes to your tailgating headquarters, nobody beats Hy-Vee. When it comes to your burgers, you got the Dan Good Burgers, you got the brats, full course meat department over there. Any kind of meat you're looking for to fire up the grill to get your tailgating season going. Oh, Hy-Vee's got you covered. You got your snacks, got your cheese, beverages. Your go-to headquarters when it comes to prepare for some pregame festivities, maybe for Sunday night against Chicago, having a little fun with some friends, with some fellow, maybe with some Chicago fans, or maybe you just don't want them in your house. I totally get it. I wouldn't want Chicago fans in my house either. But Sunday night, getting the, maybe having a little plates or doing a little party get together sort of thing. Hy-Vee, your go-to location, got the dips. All that stuff. You can get it all at Hy-Vee, and they've always got everything in stock, too, so you don't have to worry about whether they're going to have something available or not. They've always got their shelves fully loaded over there at Hy-Vee. I don't know who this texter is, but appreciate it. Kasper, I feel bad for you working with all those Vikings fans all week. Easily could have been a different game on to the next. Well, that's why I shut the door in my office after this. I'll just shut it and put on some, was it Stuart from Saturday Night? What was that? Was that Al Franken's character back in the day, Justice?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The motivational sayings. So that's what I listen to try to get through the day on days like today. So, by the way,
I have the opposite this week. It's a lot of Bears fans.
Ooh, yep.
People from the Chicago area.
Well, you can tell good old Bobby over there that they can live it up for this week until Sunday night. So, just saying. He's going to have an early morning on Monday morning after a Bears loss.
Oh, there you go.
All right. About 14 minutes to the top here, big boy. So, recapping another week of high school football. What, 4 weeks in already? Is it 4 already?
Yep.
Holy
we're
cow.
We're halfway through the regular season.
So, what stood out to you from this past weekend, or what were the games that kind of stood out from Friday night?
Well, for me, the one I was at was Eau Claire North topping Superior 21-0, get their first win of the season, but also their first conference win since 2014. So, I mean, it's been a long stretch there for them, and for them to come out and have a performance. This is a team that had played well in a lot of the first 3 games. They were right there. So for them to finally, turn the corner there and get that victory, and Matt McGinnis get his first win as head coach for the Huskies, you can see the emotion. That's the one that they wanted to get last year. They got the losing streak out of the way. Now they've got that conference losing streak out of the way. So those are done. Chapters are closed on those. Now it's time to start writing a new chapter for this team, and hopefully it's one that keeps ascending. So that was for me. It was it was fun to watch and see the emotion from the players and coaches in that one. Obviously, Eau Claire Regis keeps on rolling. They had a little bit of a scare their first week, 13-6, but since then that offense has been clicking. The defense is playing really well. So they're now 4-0, and teams can start talking about getting playoff eligible here as they continue here. I get over the 500 mark regular season and conference wise too. So yeah, those are the ones that are looking at it right there. And then Fall Creek went to Stanley Boyd, got their first win in Stanley Boyd since 2006. So that's a big one for the Crickets, as well as Tyler Mickelson and his team continue to make that climb as well. So Menominee and Chippewa Falls played a battle at Donna Nona Williams Stadium, and Menominee now 2 in a row getting that win over Chippewa Falls. So they're kind of righting the ship after a rough start. And then Memorial just got edged by New Richmond 14-10, so they're now 3-1.
I was going to ask you about North there too, with their first win, but their first couple weeks, I mean, this feels like a different North team or kind of like the last few years. I mean, it's been a tough stretch for Eau Claire North football, but it just seems different this year, Justice. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think the program has been growing, and that Jarzynski was there before them, and I think you give a lot of credit to him getting the numbers back up there. And I was watching them as they were leaving the field yesterday. It's like, okay, there was a couple years that the numbers for that team were really low, but there's a ton of kids on that team again. They're younger. I think they're like freshman team is undefeated or has been close to undefeated. So they're building up that program. So yeah, I think you really see that maybe the turning the corner there. And we saw that, hockey was the same way for when I got here. Eau Claire North hockey the numbers had really dropped, and then you start slowly building it up. And you can start with the current class, but start with the feeder programs too. You got to build that youth programs, and to the credit, I think North football is doing that and continues to grow, and that's only going to pay dividends as the seasons go on.
Also, I know we had, I want to mention golf here too, because that's going on, and I want to bring up a Blue Gold golf thing too. But Regis and Altoona pretty high in the rankings in the golf season, it seems like.
Yeah. Regis, Altoona, and then Colfax, Elk Mound, blanking on name, and I apologize. Really young, good golfer too. So I mean, we're getting close. They're going to be, I think, in a couple of weeks here, getting playoffs, because that's one of the first ones to go to playoffs there. So yeah, they continue to grow and have good seasons, and hopefully this week looks like it's being a pretty good week for golf. So I think they're gonna enjoy that, and hopefully when you're in golf in the fall, you're always hoping for the longer summer.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was because there's been plenty of times they went to state and it's like 35 degrees and cold. So.
Well, I know Lexi Mead for the Blue Golds just won herself a tournament. Was she from Memorial? I can't remember. She was
yes,
okay.
Yes, she was. She was a very outstanding golfer from Memorial, and now her dad's the head coach there for the Blue Golds.
Okay.
So yeah, she's really talented golfer. So good for her. Very good for her.
I saw that pop across. I'm like that's got to be the Memorial student from a couple, and she was just dominant in her high school career too. So
Right, that's a core, and she was at Wild Ridge, so she's golfed there plenty of time and took advantage of the home course advantage there, and second round shot a 74.
Don't tell me.
I mean that's a great score there. And got the win by 4 strokes.
Man, Justice, what's wrong with our golf games? I mean, come
There's
on.
not enough 70s.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know the Blue Goals tennis season got underway too, and they're playing their home matches at Memorial, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that one, they're trying to change things up a little bit, and the courses at Memorial, or the courts at Memorial are really nice there. So I think maybe that's the big key there. And a little
bit more space.
Also
seems like
and there's also a lot of activity over at Simpson Field in that area, not only just with practices, but with building up stuff for that stadium. So another new coach there for them as well, and just trying to build up that program.
And I know football, they fell to Central in Iowa, 31-13. Blue Goals have a bye this upcoming weekend. Central was ranked 13th in Division III football heading into that game. A lot of D3 teams I saw, like Oshkosh and Whitewater, scheduling some high-ranked opponents. The Wyatt teams scheduling some high-ranked opponents this past weekend.
Yeah, this is one of those, let's see what we have. And obviously a tough road game for the Blue Goals, but put up a fight, battled there, and you got one more non-conference game before they head to conference play. So we'll see what they can do here. Get maybe a good time for that bye. You've got two games in. Now you can really dissect before they host Albion on Saturday the 24th. And then you got your first conference game at Stout. So it's going to be that big atmosphere, the battle of I-94 there. And it's a prime time. They're starting it at 6 p.m. So that'll be a big one. But yeah, you got a week here to look at what you've done and what you've done wrong the first 2 weeks, build upon that for that final non-conference, and then it's into WIAC play.
All right. Yeah, no doubt. So, all right. So before I let you go here, I do want to give a little bit of a touch on base a little bit with the Brewers, because honestly, let's face it here, Justice, the Brewers were the positive note if you're a Wisconsin sports fan this past weekend. They won 2 out of 3 against the Reds. They're 2 back in the wild card chase here. Off day today, but is this a make or break next week here? You got 2 games against the Cards, back home against the Yankees and the Mets from tomorrow until September 21st. That last game against the Mets, is this a make or break stretch for the Brewers?
Oh, I think so. Especially when you got those home games coming up, that's huge. You got to do something with them. But yeah, you got 2 big series against 2 New York teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have to do something, because I think if you can get through this next big stretch, then you have Cincinnati for 4 at Cincinnati. But what we see with this Brewers team, it doesn't really matter who they're playing. It just doesn't matter who shows up out there and how they do. So yeah, getting 2 of 3 against a team that you're supposed to get 2 of 3, and you've won 4 of 5. So you're still there. They will not let go. Getting credit to the Brewers. There's been plenty of times it would seem easy to write them off and say this is a lost season, but they're hanging in there, and San Diego not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So San Diego hasn't made it 5-5 in their last 10. So,
and they got the Mariners coming up. So
yeah. So I think it's going to be a battle right down to the end. So if you're the Brewers, like you said, this is a key stretch to see what they can do, and just obviously just keep nibbling at the Padres' feet.
Yeah, and I know Adam McCulvey had an interesting piece written the other day talking about how they've kind of changed the clubhouse. So they've got like ping pong tables, the Pop-A-Shot, and some video games in there. And Brent Suter was the guy kind of leading the charge and trying to change the mindset or the aura of the clubhouse. And I guess we've seen Brent Suter for the last few years, no big surprise it's Brent Suter trying to get this team going, and as he said, just trying to change the mindset and trying to make it fun again for these guys.
Right. And I don't think I ever saw it. It never seemed like they weren't having fun out there.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. If you can do anything like that, people know that, chemistry, building chemistry is, and as much as baseball at times is almost like an individual sport, chemistry does have a lot to do with it. and just keeping guys up and keeping guys ready to go and engaged and not, just kind of thinking of the next game. So yeah, I'm all for that. If it's keeping everybody energetic and they're having fun and it's leading to wins, yeah, it's well worth it. If it's not a distraction, yeah, do it.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. But off day today, and then that 2 games against the Cardinals, Yankees this weekend. And that's the thing here, too. They got an off day today and off day Thursday, but then it's a grueling stretch because they only have one more off day left, and that's not until the 26th of September. So this is going to be a long, tough stretch here. And factoring in the injuries with the pitching staff, too, I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
I mean, and that bullpen has just been hit or miss. Like, no one seems to be on at the same time. They need these guys to start all kind of locking in a little bit more, kind of like they were in the first half of the season.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, all right, Justice, final thoughts. It's your Jerry Springer final thoughts here. But your final thoughts on what you saw from the Green Bay Packers and then heading into week 2 here. Panic? Don't panic? Freak out? What's your final thoughts on the green and gold?
I don't say I didn't see any panic in that locker room. And I think you almost have to, I hate to say it because it's a regular season game and you don't want to give away regular season games, but look at this as an extension of the preseason. Look at this as that final preseason tune-up. Now you have 16 games left to do what you got to do. Last year, you lost to New Orleans. Handedly, they handled the Packers last year. And then you came back and won 7 straight. Now, 7 straight, that's how realistic that is. But you have a game against, you're going from one rivalry game to another rivalry game with the Bears. It's a team that won week 1, so they're already got an advantage in your division as well. So it's a big game. And if you can't get up for that game, I don't know. So you can't come and lay 2 stinkers right away. Obviously, it's a long season, but set the tone at your own house. Come out, get the victory, and show people that what the potential there is for this team compared to what they saw yesterday.
Well, I think that's the important thing, and I'm glad you brought that up too. Is that the feeling in the locker room? There wasn't that sense of panic or anything like that. There wasn't that. I mean, obviously, probably a lot of disappointment, but
right.
There's and I think the one thing that's maybe a little bit down on this, it is a division game. You lose one to a division team, where last year, okay, it was the Saints. It's a conference game, but it's not division. It's a little bit of a downer that it is a division team. But, I mean, still 16 weeks left to go. And a lot of stuff can happen. A lot of stuff.
Are the Packers allowed to play an opening game at home? It feels like it's been so long since they've done that.
If you think about it, I don't think Matt LaFleur has opened up at home. Because his first one was at Chicago.
Yeah, because then it was
the COVID year in Minnesota.
Then obviously the New Orleans Tampa Bay game.
You're right. When was the last home opener for Green Bay? Was it the year before? I'm gonna have to look that up, man.
2018, maybe.
Wow.
There you go. I gave you some homework.
I'm gonna look that up. I didn't even think of that, Justice.
But yeah,
you're right. It was the Aaron Rodgers broken leg game.
Oh, wow.
That was their last home opener.
So it's like, yeah, not to say that you should win no matter where you're playing, but yeah, let's give the Packers next year, NFL. Yeah. Let them open up at home. It's been long enough.
Yeah, and then I was at that fallen one where the Vikings tied, and it was like 150 degrees out there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Giannis was there, so I know Neil, our good buddy Neil, got a picture with him. So
yep.
That game.
I was down there on the field when the battle of the field goals happened.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Man, so wow, Matt LaFleur has never opened up at home. Just thought of that. Good. Look at you. Little nugget of the day. I like that. Yeah. Always due for next year.
My first victory of the week.
Oh, please. All right, so Justice, we're not going to be able to catch up with you tomorrow. I mean, you're going to be at the game late, and I'll actually be doing the show from the Dells for a work thing. So we appreciate your time as always, buddy, and fitting us in for your your crazy busy schedule, but keep up the amazing, awesome work over there, man.
Well, I appreciate it. You too. You do the same, my friend.
And I'm just saying, if you ever need an assistant to these games, I'm one quick text away. So,
all right.
All right. We got one more hour to go. We're going to kick it off with some studs and duds. Who's made your studs and duds list? You can hit us up with some text, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back after these quick words.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Well, 21 years ago, we were waking up to a much different world as many places around the country had 9/11 remembrance ceremonies yesterday.
There were moments of silence and bell tolls at the times the planes went into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and went down in Shanksville, and when the Twin Towers collapsed.
George John Bishop. Chris Romeo Bushundat.
Family members of victims read names of the nearly 3,000 killed on 9/11 and gave personal messages. This guy turned to the many politicians in the crowd, which included Vice President Kamala Harris.
And I want to remind all of you there, it should not take another tragedy to unite our nation.
At the 9/11 memorial, Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Here in our area, we look at headlines that show an Arkansas man in custody after leading police on a chase through Durand. That's according to Pepin County Sheriff's Office. Sean Bauer led officials on the chase. He struck a squad car twice. A taser was also deployed, and during that time had no effect on him as Bauer fled. Officials say for the safety of the community, they did not pursue him through residential yards, but he was soon found barricaded in a home and apprehended without further incident. Looking into other headlines that show Mother Nature in another part of the state. If you have plans to travel to the southeast part of Wisconsin, just a heads up, National Weather Service is issuing probability of flash flooding. Here's what's happening there.
As of late last night, 7 or more inches of measurable rainfall was registered in Racine County alone. The National Weather Service advises those living in the region to still take precautions on roadways, despite the fact that a flood warning expired this morning at 3 a.m. The warning covered Kenosha, Milwaukee, Racine, Walworth, and Waukesha counties. Flood conditions are expected in urban areas as well as rivers, streams, and low-lying terrain in the affected region. I'm John DeMaster.
A public health advisory has been issued in Wisconsin as fentanyl overdose cases continue to rise. The Department of Health is encouraging drug users to use recently legalized fentanyl test strips before using drugs. Those test strips are illegal in 19 states, but here in Wisconsin, they became legal in March. Nearly 50,000 fentanyl tests were distributed last year throughout our state, and Wisconsin is investing $2 million into making these test strips more widely available. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. That's according to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. And I'm sure you guys are going to be doing plenty of talking today. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say.
You know, we knew going into this game that stopping their lead dogs really offensively and defensively were going to be an important part of it. And certainly we didn't get that done.
What about 12? What does Aaron Rodgers have to say about yesterday's, well, whatever you want to call it?
We hurt ourselves many times, myself included. I had a lot of opportunities to score more than 7.
What about calling a truce, Kasper? You got plenty of wounds to lick today from that Packers game. Should we just get along?
Certainly we didn't get that done.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
We'll start off the morning with a bit of cloud cover, but slowly clear out from west to east, giving way to more sunshine later this afternoon. But it'll be a pretty great fall day as we'll have temperatures climbing only to the low 70s. Later on tonight, mostly clear and much chillier as we dip to the mid 40s for our overnight lows. However, tomorrow we'll have plenty of sunshine and our temperatures will rebound nicely as we warm it up to the upper 70s and low 80s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
We all drive and we're going to have to replace our tires. I trust the experts at TireRack.com because for over 40 years, they've been revolutionizing tire buying. Go to TireRack.com/Dan. Tell them what you drive. Try their easy-to-use tire decision guide to find out the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. Their extensive selection includes Sumitomo, high performance, all season, CUV, SUV, and light truck tires. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it.
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it.
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth.
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time. Prime time.
Final hour kicking off on this Monday morning quarterbacking edition of the Dan Kasper Show. Appreciate you tuning in. Wherever and however you may be tuning in. Radio dials, there's a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. You can also check us out at sportstalk1051.com. Stream it there or get the link for the YouTube live video stream. Of course, the Sports Talk app and your Google and Alexa home devices. Oh, yes, we've got more green and gold chat coming. A little overreaction, a little Monday morning quarterbacking. But for the most part, it seems like the majority of you not pressing the panic button after 1 week, which is good. Which is good. I mean, there was a lot of frustration yesterday, and rightfully so, and I get it. Hey, I was like, what the heck was that we just saw? A lot of frustration, a lot of venting of it. But for the most part, it seems like the majority of you saying, all right, sucked, it was ugly. We got 16 more to go. Let's not push the panic button yet. Let's see how we react to it. And I mean, Chicago's coming off of a victory. They're going to be having some confidence. They're going to be feeling good coming into Lambeau. How do you react? How do you counter that? So, but we'll obviously talk more about Bears week a little bit later on this week because we got to recap what we saw from the border battle yesterday. We'll get to that coming up here. We'll chat some more Badger football. We touched on a little bit about the Brewers there. Brewers off day today as they prepare for what could be a make or break stretch here. I'll deep dive into that more tomorrow. So I'm giving you a little bit of a homework assignment class. All right, you junkies out there. Am I doing this right, surveyor? Junkies. Junkies out there, your homework assignment for tomorrow is going to be, is this a make or break stretch for the Brewers' playoff chances? These 2 games against the Cardinals. You got 3 games against the Yankees at home, 3 games against the Mets at home. Yankees and Mets, now you're kind of looking at it like, okay, maybe a few months ago, I was like, maybe not a few, but a couple months ago, I was like, oh, Yankees got that in the bag. They're good. Well, now they actually have to start playing to really solidify them as a division champion. Same with the Mets. So you're not going to get a couple of New York teams that are going to try to coast through this thing and get ready for the postseason. No, they got to kind of right it and maybe go into the postseason on a little bit of a hot streak with a little bit of momentum. So get their best shot going up against the Brew Crew. And Craig Counsell saying yesterday, too, that it's going to be a bullpen day for the Brewers in the first game of this Cardinal series. So what do you think? But that's your homework assignment. Is this a make or break? These next 2, 5, 8 games. Is this a make or break stretch for the Brewers? All right, let's kick off the second hour with some studs and some duds. Okay, you can send your list on over by hitting us up with a text 715-830-1912. Your studs and duds list. My studs, I'm going to start it off with Carlos Alcaraz, 19 years old, wins the U.S. Open to become the youngest world number 1 in men's tennis history. Stud. His first Grand Slam final, too. So walking out That's awesome right there. Definitely a stud. Brian Dowell, head coach for the New York Giants. Week 1, first game of his career as a head coach. And he has the I'm going to steal this from Tyreek Hill and what he described his head coach, Mike McDaniel, but he had the cojones to go for 2. And for the win. And they got it. That sent a lot of messages in that locker room. That sent a huge message to his team. To be able to go out there, your first game as a head coach, put yourself in that situation. It may be easy for all of us to like, oh, I would have easily gone for it. Matt and I would have gone for it, definitely. But I mean, your first job, the head coach, you're trying to get your first win, and you have an opportunity. Would you have had the cojones to go for 2, potentially lose it? Or would you have just tried the extra point, maybe force a little bit of OT? But he went for it. The team got it. Titans missed the field goal. Brian Dowell. Studs for all first-time head coaches yesterday. I'm not talking about Josh McDaniels, and I'm not talking about Dennis Allen. I'm talking about the guys, Eberflus, Mike McDaniel, O'Connell from Minnesota, Brian Dowell. They all won their first game. Nathaniel Hackett could join them tonight with a win over the Seattle Seahawks. That's looking pretty good, let's be honest. Unless Seattle can somehow pull off the victory. I guess I shouldn't say somehow. I mean, look at week 1 yesterday. But if Nathaniel Hackett gets that W, everybody who coached for the first time, will have W's. That's pretty studly there, too. Duds, the 2 obvious ones, Packers, Badgers, been talking about it all morning. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I mean, come on, those were duds. But Scott Frost, too. Nebraska finally decided to move on from their head coach. They could have waited till October and saved about $7.5 million. If they would have waited until October 1st, it would have dropped to $7.5 million. But Nebraska had enough. After losing to Georgia Southern this past weekend, they moved on. Nebraska athletic director Trev Alberts, or vice chancellor for athletics, Trev Alberts, I want to get the official title correctly, said, "We owed it to the players to give them a different voice, perhaps a slightly different vision. Give them some confidence and opportunity. I know how disruptive these changes are, but we needed to inject something into this team to give them the confidence and hopefully help them to compete. Nothing would please me more than to see a pretty significant change and help this team get over a hump and win some games." I did like this message, though, from him. We'll stop talking about championships or stop talking about things we used to do. We'll just get really process-oriented, detail-oriented, and ultimately, when you start doing those fundamental championship habit-type things, those types of wins follow. But we need to start focusing on those small, fundamental things that ultimately lead to those type of things. So, I mean, the whole Scott Frost era at Nebraska was just it was a dud. Only Rutgers had a worse overall record than what Nebraska did in their 4+ seasons under Scott Frost. Rutgers 13-35, Nebraska 16-31. I mean, is it still a destination for head coach? I mean, they're going to get a head coach, and they're probably going to get, I don't want to say a big name, but maybe like a PJ Fleck was when he came over to Minnesota. They'll probably get somebody like that. I can't see Urban Meyer going over there. I know there was that talk a couple weeks ago from Dan Patrick and such, but they got to really change some stuff over there in Nebraska. But when you look at it, Scott Frost being an alum, going over there and what he did was it UCF, the 13-0 season, coming over thinking it's going to be all changed. No, it did not even get close. Nothing. So Those are my studs and duds. For the rest of you, you can hit us up. We got one here. I was at the game. Totally sucks. I saw 120 decibels. Rodgers missed a few receivers that were open. Dud Watson, catch the darn ball, stud. Win over Notre Dame. You talking Marshall? Marshall's win over Notre Dame. Another text here. Morning, Dan. Big Worm completely disagree with Justice. Paul Chris seat should be on fire. Since we have hired him, this offensive guru, there's been zero to little progression in his offense or his offensive scheme. It is time for Wisconsin to pay some big money to a coach out there and try to get into the Final Four. I am sick and tired of going to the Outback Bowl year in and year out. Love the show. Have a great day. Appreciate that, Big Worm. Thanks for the comments. All right. 120 decibels at US Bank. You know, I've always wondered about those. Because even at Lambeau Field, now they do the decibel thing. And when I see that thing get up to the hundreds, I'm like, is it really there? You know what I mean? Like they put it on a scoreboard. Like, how accurate are those things on the scoreboard? Or is it just one of a fancy graphic sort of thing? Like to, you know, because everybody does it. You see it low. So you try to like, all right, boost it up. Let's get louder. Then once it gets a little bit louder and gets a little bit louder, the night really gets people into it and boom, 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 boom. Always question how accurate those things are. And was it a few years ago, Kansas City and Seattle were trying to do a little back and forth to see which stadium would break the decibel record. What is a decibel record? I'm going to look that up here quick. It is the, it was the, okay, in the Chiefs, Seahawks back and forth, the Chiefs ultimately have the last word, and the record for the world's loudest stadium, 142.2 decibels. Arrowhead, Kansas City. That was in 2014. Is that long ago already? Holy moly. Yes, good stud here. The Husky football team, as Justice was talking about in the last hour. Congrats to my alma mater. Congrats. That's a good one. Absolutely. All right. Tell you what, we'll take let's take a quick break here, and then we'll get back to some more Packers chat here. But what was your biggest MMQB? Biggest Monday morning quarterback thing that you would take away? Like the biggest second guess. You know, like, because Monday morning quarterbacking, we're all second guessing, right? We're all like, I should have done this, or we should have done that, or I would have done it this way. Now that we are a morning after from what we saw, what is your biggest Monday morning quarterback? Is it, nope, they should have put Jair on Justin Jefferson. 23 should have been shadowing 18 that entire game. Was it getting Aaron Jones the ball more than 8 times? That's passing and rushing, or receiving and rushing. 8 times total. Is there anything else you would add to that? And, I mean, now you're looking at this offensive line, something, actually injuries together. I want to talk a little bit about the injuries, because the Packers yesterday, they didn't get they didn't escape that game fairly healthy. And there's a couple players in this that I really want to highlight too. So we'll get to that. Quick break, but hit us up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, all right? 715-830-1912. And keep those studs and duds lists coming too. Get some more of those rolling through. All right, we'll be back.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
I believe that you can never go wrong with either a white or yellow cheese curd. I believe that when it's 4th and 1 and you're down by 5 points late in the fourth quarter at the opponent's 20, you go for it. And I believe one of the biggest things people take for granted in their home is the carpeting. We all try to make our homes look good on the outside with some new shingles and amazing yard work. Then on the inside, we're painting our walls with unique colors, matching furniture sets, and big TVs. TV part I get though. But what about your carpeting? Think about it. Your carpeting takes the most abuse in your home. When was the last time you replaced that carpet in your home? Can't remember, or maybe you haven't. Sounds like it's time to head on over to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. The best selection of carpeting in the Chippewa Valley, all at the best price. They will meet or beat the competition. And the one thing that really sets Carpet City Flooring Center from the rest is the customer service from the entire team. So when you're thinking about making your home look good, think about the carpeting in your home. I believe it's time to upgrade that carpet with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center. Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Easy moving and storage, making life easier. Moving across town or just moving on out, efficient and affordable, that's what we're all about. In the Chippewa Valley since 89, any move of any size, we don't waste time. Locally owned, we always pick up the phone. Easy moving and storage, making life easier.
We all drive, and we're going to have to replace our tires. I trust the experts at TireRack.com because for over 40 years, they've been revolutionizing tire buying. Go to TireRack.com/Dan. Tell them what you drive. Try their easy-to-use tire decision guide to find out the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. Their extensive selection includes Sumitomo, high performance, all season, CUV, SUV, and light truck tires. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Are you up all night tossing and turning over your business's unsuccessful online marketing strategies? Midwest Family Eau Claire's digital team can be the warm glass of milk and cozy blanket that ensure a restful, worryless night's sleep. Let our team at Midwest Family Eau Claire turn your business's digital presence into profit. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how our integrated marketing solutions take the complexity of digital marketing out of your busy hands. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
The VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue in Eau Claire, where breakfast is served 7 days a week, 7 to 11 a.m. And if you're looking for a Friday fish fry, look no further. Try the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. And after the Friday fish fry, stay for the karaoke from 9 to 1 a.m. Bands are back on the weekends at the VFW, 8 p.m. to midnight. And Sundays from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m., the DJ plays your favorite oldies hits. VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue, Eau Claire, where no one does more for veterans and their community.
The simple click of a seatbelt can mean the difference between life and death. But don't just take it from me.
As a nurse for the last 34 years, I've seen way too many people seriously hurt in crashes because they weren't wearing a seatbelt. Please protect yourself. Spare your family and emergency responders from needless trauma. Buckle up. Every seat, every trip, every time.
A life-saving message sponsored by the U.S. and Wisconsin DOTs.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Don't forget, you can nominate somebody or a team or a coach for our Sports Spotlight of the Week, presented by our terrific friends over at Carpet City Flooring Center here in Eau Claire. Just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, click on the Nation tab, and you'll be able to nominate somebody. We'll announce the winners every Friday. This past Friday, Chippewa Falls volleyball squad. But send in those nominations, all right? Send those babies on in. And if you're looking for your flooring needs, nobody beats Wisconsin's premier flooring center, the locally owned and operated Carpet City Flooring Center. Terrific customer service. They'll match or beat the competition, whatever flooring you're looking for. If you need to upgrade that 70s shag carpet in your home, well, Carpet City Flooring Center, your stop, your go-to stop to take care of that. So head on over there. Get that new flooring that you deserve from Carpet City Flooring Center. While you're at the Nation tab, too, by the way, don't forget you can enter to win some tickets to the Oktoberfest party bus for the lacrosse Oktoberfest party bus. You can also win an MVP service package car detail. And if you are already in it for the Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenges and the Survival Leagues, don't forget to make your picks for Week 2 coming up here. I'm curious to see how many people are already out of it for the Survivor League, because I feel like a lot of people probably picked the 49ers with the Bears. But I know I'm still alive. I've got I picked the Ravens over the Jets. So looking at the leaderboard for the Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge, 3-way tie for first. David, myself, Big Spence, all with 11 picks picked correctly. We got one more tonight. Maybe we'll see something different at the top. But right now we got a 3-way tie for first place with 11 correct picks. So don't forget to get your picks in now before you forget. We got Thursday Night Football coming up already. Got Chargers Chiefs coming up. Holy moly. Gonna be a nuts one right away, but football season's here, baby. I was at Game 7 of the World Series, Twins 87, and it was louder than that at the Vikings Stadium yesterday, in my opinion. Louder in 87, I'm assuming is what you say. You know, with the Metrodome back there. I know Aaron talked about that. Was it last week or earlier this week? He talked about, might have been on McAfee's show last week. What are you talking about? Yeah, it was louder in the Metrodome back in the day than it was at U.S. Bank. Still said U.S. Bank's loud, but Metrodome was louder. Dud, Nebraska football, who fired longtime Cornhusker Frank Solich 15 years ago because he only won 9 games. They haven't won 9 games in a season since. Another good one there, too. All right, so what's your biggest MMQB? Your biggest Monday morning quarterback of the morning. Like, what's your biggest second guessing from this Packers game? Maybe if you want to throw in the Badgers one too. I threw out my 2. How does Aaron Jones only touch the ball 8 times or get the ball 8 times, both in receiving and rushing, and 23 on Justin Jefferson? Why didn't we see more of that? Why didn't we see more of that? I'll touch on the Jair one coming up at the end for Here's the Thing. But let's focus on, you know what? I'll get to the offense here in a second. I want to hit on some of the injuries from this game yesterday, because it's something to note here. Quay Walker left with a shoulder injury. Chris Barnes, that didn't look good, being carted off, air cast, crutches. Haven't heard exactly what happened there. But you had Quay Walker, you had John Runyon leave with a concussion, and we saw Zach Tom, the rookie, come in. And assuming John Runyon's going to miss the game against the Bears, let's assume he's not going to clear concussion protocol. And we already know that David Bakhtiari is probably not playing week 2. I'm guessing Elton Jenkins isn't going to play week 2. So the offensive line that we saw finish the game yesterday might be that offensive line going up against Chicago. And Zach Tom, if you remember, was kind of he had a great preseason. We went through the numbers in preseason, Pro Football Focus numbers, pass rush win rate, pass blocking grades. We went through those. He was one of the best. I think he was the best rookie in terms of pass blocking grade. But he played tackle a lot in college. He's been playing all over the line in preseason, played center in college too. My question is, if it's Zach Tom, do you put Zach Tom at right tackle and put Royce Newman back at guard? I was kind of thinking about that yesterday. Leading into this week, if you know you're not going to have Bakhtiari, you know you're not going to have Elton Jenkins, and assuming that you're not going to have John Runyon, do you put Zach Tom over at right tackle? I know it might seem like, well, you're nitpicking there a little bit. Maybe. But, I don't know, Royce Newman, I feel like he's more of a guard than a right tackle. And you got Zach Tom, who had the best amongst rookies pass blocking rate in preseason. I think I'd probably put him over at right tackle and kick Royce Newman back inside. That's just me. But the Quay Walker one, I don't know if we'll find out more from Matt LaFleur today or if it's going to be fairly coy again from him, fairly quiet. But the Quay Walker one now, inside linebacker, when you factor in Barnes too, that depth there has taken a huge hit. You're down to Campbell and McDuffie. So I don't know if Green Bay is going to be. I think they got to be bringing in somebody else with Chris Barnes, assuming he's going to be out for an extended period of time. They got to bring somebody else in, even with Quay Walker. If Quay Walker is good to go against Chicago, you still got to bring in some depth. Can I throw a name out there? I'll throw one name out there. That I don't know. I'm just maybe being a little bit of a homerism here. Joe Schobert, former Badger. He's still available. Now, I'm sure he might be available for a reason. He signed up with Denver, and Denver let him go. But, last year for Pittsburgh, played 16 games, started 15 of those, finished the season with 112 total tackles. Year prior in Jacksonville, 141 total tackles. Every year he's had over 100 tackles besides his rookie year in Cleveland in 2016. So depth purposes, if you're going to be missing Chris Barnes for a while, go get Joe Schobert. Bring him back to Wisconsin. Go bring in the Waukesha native. Got to get some depth now at inside linebacker. If I'm Goody, I'm scouring what's out there for inside linebacker depth. And why not bring in a veteran, Joe Schobert? Joe the Show. And I was looking at now going back to the offense. This is the one to throw in because, Packers kind of dealing with some injuries now when you're looking at it here with the inside linebackers and offensive line. But that again, that would be what I would do. Not that it matters, but I'd move Tom over to right tackle, kick Royce Newman back in, and then go get a guy like Joe Schobert to increase your depth at inside linebacker. But these are interesting numbers, I think, in terms of playtime percentage from this past game. So we know, Hansen, Myers, Newman, Yash, 100%. Rodgers at 92 because Jordan Love came in there at the end. But you look at these next ones. Sammy Watkins had the most snaps at wide receiver, 41. That was only 67% of the time. Next was the rookie Watson, 40 snaps, 66%. Then it was Aaron Jones, 37 snaps, 61%. Randall Cobb, same amount of snaps. Romeo Dobbs, 57%, 35 snaps. A.J. Dillon, just 31 snaps, 51%. Robert Tonyan played just 22 snaps, 36% total. I've got some issues with this because if your goal, like it was talked about a few weeks ago, getting your 11 best out there, and I get subs, packages, rotations and such, I get that. But for me, there's no reason why Aaron Jones should have been 61%. 61% of the offensive snaps Aaron Jones was in on. A.J. Dillon was 51%. When you look at the offensive playmakers and we rank them and we put them in a list, wouldn't Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon kind of be up there towards the top? And, wouldn't you want them on the field as much as possible? For comparison's sakes, you look across the field like Dalvin Cook, okay? He was on the field for 77% of the time for the Vikings. Adam Thielen was on there for 95%. Justin Jefferson was on there for 92%. Their top three offensive playmakers from Minnesota, 95, 92, 77. The Packers, their top two was Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson. No offense to those two, but Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon needed to be up there more. And it's not like you can say, well, passing game, you got to take them out. Nah. Those two have proven that they can be effective in the passing game. And, Tunyon out there with just 36%, are they working him back from that ACL? Maybe. Could be. But no doubt about it, he's got to be out there more than 36%. Those are three numbers there that just wow. I mean, we knew that Aaron Jones only got the ball 8 times. But then when you kind of break it down into the percentages and you see that A.J. Dillon was one snap over half the offensive snaps and Aaron Jones was just 61%. It's wow. Those two should have been towards the top. And I know Aaron Jones was third, but still 61% seems a little bit low, doesn't it? I don't know. But it is only 1 week. It is only the first week. The sky's not falling. I'm trying not to display throw out the flags, throw in the towel. I'm not trying to do that or anything. It's just, I guess to me, the biggest question I would have if I could ever ask Matt LaFleur is what was the thinking behind the game plan? What was the basis behind the game plan, the offensive game plan? In fact, I'd asked Joe Barry the same thing on defense. I just did not understand the game plan. I didn't get it. And it was confusing to me. But I don't know. I don't know what this tweet's regarding Blake Martinez. I don't know what's that regarding. To bring him in? Is he still with the Giants? Still with the Giants, is it? Or did the Giants release him? I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I just figured he was still with the Giants, but I could be completely wrong. So, yeah, that would be another option if he's available. I'd have to double check. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm assuming that's what it is. So, okay. Tell you what. Yeah, Nixon too only played 1 defensive snap. And that was when he got that shoulder injury. Popped him there. There were a couple players that really kind of stood out to me in that game. I thought Quay Walker, before he had an injury, he showcased a little bit why Green Bay drafted him in the first round. Was all over the field, was making tackles, actually led the team in solo tackles in the game. Mentioned Zach Tom in his limited snaps. I thought he looked solid. I mean, A.J. Dillon was kind of doing A.J. Dillon things when he was getting the football, making plays. Aaron Jones, same thing, making plays. I mean, there were a few players on this team. I will say this too. Let's give Pat O'Donnell a little shout out there. Yeah, not often do we give too much to the punting game. But I will say, and it wasn't like he had a booming 75-yarder. But it was good to see a consistent punter in the 20, getting it down inside the 20. It was good to see that. To see a punter consistently getting it down inside the 20. Now, did Green Bay's defense necessarily always stop him down there? No, that's another topic. But I will say I want to give a little bit of a shout out to Mr. Pat O'Donnell. And hey, Mason Crosby made an extra point in his only attempt at a field goal there. So, oh yeah, Blake Martinez. I did Google search. Blake Martinez was released a few days ago. Okay, maybe possibility, right? I did not realize a few days ago he was released. How about that? Interesting. Okay, there's another former Packer, or a former Packer. That would be an option. Yeah, just Googled that quick, and sure enough. But no, there was a few players that I thought stood out yesterday. Anybody else stand out to you? Anybody else stand out to you? Hit me up with a text, okay? 715-830-1912. Let's take a quick break. Then we're going to do a little here's the thing, okay? Going to hit up a little here's the thing. Closing comments, closing arguments, last call for any texts or anything like that. Hit us up, okay? I want to touch on this Packers defense for our here's the thing, but we'll do a quick recap on some Brewer stuff and again Badger stuff too. So, final break coming up in just a few minutes.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
Central banks are increasing their gold reserve due to increasing global financial crisis concerns. Billionaires like Ray Dalio to giant fund management companies like Goldman Sachs are turning to physical assets like gold. And that's not surprising. Historically, gold's biggest rally happened after the biggest recessions in history. In fact, after the 2007-2009 recession, gold prices jumped 50.6%. Wealth of entire countries are being protected by gold. Wealth of billionaires are being protected by gold. Everyone who knows is using gold to keep their billions safe. life. And Noble Gold Investments can help you protect your own wealth too with gold. It'll take you no more than 5 minutes to set up an account. Noble Gold specializes in storing the value of your wealth through gold IRAs, so they're the natural choice. And they're giving away a beautiful 1/10-ounce gold American Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k this month. Do something different. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Need to hire? Find great people fast with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solutions helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, this is Josh Smith from Union Trailer and Power Equipment. Did you know that we carry many other outdoor power equipment products? We stock a large selection of Briggs & Stratton quiet inverter generators for as little as $599. Along with generators, we also carry log splitters, self-propelled push mowers, and Wacker Neuson compactor and pump products. As the only Steel Elite dealer in the area, we have a gold certified technician to work on all the steel chainsaws, backpack pullers, string trimmers, and many other two-cycle engine issues. Give us a call today at 715-930-1066. With the addition of the Wacker Neuson product line this year, we have also expanded into rental. We'll be renting out many different trailer options along with skid steers and mini excavators this season. Give our rental department a call today to schedule your next rental. Union Trailer and Power Equipment, a local family-owned business located right in the Chippewa Valley off Highway 53 at the Melby Street exit. Visit us online at uniontrailer.com.
Quality products, expert service, Union Trailer Sales.
There's still time for business owners to claim their federal aid under the Employee Retention Tax Credit Program. Cash refunds of up to $26,000 per employee are available for employers who continue to pay their employees during the COVID epidemic. You can claim the credit even if you received a PPP loan. The licensed CPAs and tax professionals at Ferguson, Timar & Associates have been serving business owners across the country for over 15 years. Our tax credit specialists are available now at 833-ERC-FILE. That's 833-ERC-FILE.
Stand by as we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box.
Oh, got it.
The Dan Kasper Show.
Looking to outfit maybe your man cave, or maybe you're just looking for some extra furniture for your home, or maybe you're moving or anything like that. It's the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. The Restore is your go-to place because you never know what kind of treasures you may find at the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. Or if you're thinking about, you know what, I got some stuff to donate. I got some furniture. I don't need this couch. I don't need this recliner, or some building supplies. Restore will take that too. So Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. Make sure you're following their Facebook page, okay, because they're posting up stuff every day. They're posting up pictures on there. Stuff goes fast. Some awesome items available at the Restore. Check them out for yourself. But the big thing, make sure you follow their Facebook page so you kind of see that. And then stop on in at the Restore. Do a little treasure hunting over there. I forgot to mention that Amari Rogers didn't play one single offensive snap. One single off, none, zero, zilch, zip. Special teams, but not one offensive snap. Don't know if that means anything, but just throwing that out there too. Forgot to mention that. All right, as we said, let's cover some bases here quickly. Brewers off day today, as they will be traveling to St. Louis for a quick 2-game away series. Then another off day on Thursday before they begin, before they welcome a couple of New York teams to Milwaukee. First up will be the Yankees for the weekend series, and then next week the Mets series. Then the Brew Crew will go on the road against the Reds, but then they're home for a while there towards the end of the month, starting on September 27th. St. Louis for a couple games, and then you've got a 4-game series against Miami, and then 3 games against Arizona. So, I mean, get through this week and hopefully kind of just, put yourselves in a good position. You'll have some opportunities, I would think, to make up some ground and maybe get into that final push there. But Brewers just 2 games back. They're hanging around. They're still there. If you're doing a little scoreboard watching here, they're 2 back from the Padres, and the Padres, starting tomorrow, they will be going up against the Seattle Mariners in Seattle, playing for some wild card positioning too. So, Badger football. We talked quite a bit about the Badger football. Wait, I misread that text there for a second there. I thought you said Aaron Rodgers was a draft bust. No, it said Amari. It's like, wait a minute. That's what kind of caught me off guard there. Amari Rodgers was draft bust for the Packers. They would have dumped him if he was a 7th round draft pick. I think I might agree with you. If he was a little bit of a lower draft pick, he might not be around anymore. And remember, I mean, Jamon Moore was a 4th rounder, and he didn't even see a regular season game for Green Bay. He didn't even make the team, but 3rd rounder. So that'll be something interesting to watch coming up here. But anyways, Badger football. We talked quite a bit about that loss to Washington State. They've got New Mexico State coming up here tomorrow. RJ Cardinal will break it down for us. What he saw inside the stadium at Camp Randall with this Washington State loss, and then looking ahead to New Mexico before the Big Ten schedule starts for the Badgers. But if you're looking at the latest AP rankings, no surprise, Wisconsin's out of the top. But Georgia and Alabama have flip-flop spots. Georgia number 1, Alabama escaping with a victory against Texas there. That game was entertaining. And you kind of wonder a little what if, and no offense to the backup, but if Quinn Ewers would have been able to finish that game, kind of wonder would it have been maybe a different result, maybe not. I don't know. But Ohio State, number 3, Michigan, number 4. Clemson remains at 5. Oklahoma moves up to 6. USC moving up 3 spots to number 7. One stud I should have put on there was Appalachian State, getting another victory against a highly ranked opponent. Texas A&M goes down. Texas A&M, the biggest faller in the rankings too. They drop 18 spots to number 24 after losing to App State. So, forgot I should have put them on my studs there list there too. But we'll chat some more college football with RJ Cardinal tomorrow. Break it down with the Badgers and such. So also don't forget your homework assignment for tomorrow. Junkies out there is this upcoming stretch, this next week and change, week and a half-ish, a little less than a week and a half, but you get the drift. Is this the season defining stretch for the Brewers? Cardinals, Yankees, Mets. Think about that. Save it for tomorrow. And don't forget, tomorrow is a grind my gears day too. So, but let's finish up the program with a little Here's the Thing.
Sports opinions that are actually facts. Maybe. You decide. Here's the thing.
So, a big topic from the Packers game from yesterday was obviously the defensive performance as a whole, but Jair Alexander not shadowing Justin Jefferson. I mean, I'm getting flashbacks of Jalen Ramsey and Devontae Adams talk about should Jalen Ramsey shadow, Devontae Adams and that's and such like that. Remember a few years ago too, when Richard Sherman was in his prime with the Seattle Seahawks, it was like you're shutting down half the field. Well, Richard Sherman would always play like one side of the field, like never really shadowed players. He would just play the one side of the field. Well, offenses have changed a little bit, and you're seeing this McVay and Shanahan style of offense where you're seeing more motion, right? You're seeing more motion. There was an interesting graphic in the game yesterday where they talked about the percentages of, like Cooper Kupp, how much he motioned last year compared to Jefferson. And it was like 70-some% to like 20-some%. Well, we know Justin Jefferson's going to be put in motion quite a bit more this year. They're going to move him around. And shout out to O'Connell and the Vikings, for attacking Green Bay on that. Kirk Cousins said it yesterday too, like he's never played on an offense where it was just attack. And you got to give credit to where credit's due. Minnesota, they went out And they took advantage of what Green Bay was doing on defense. They moved their premier player around to create mismatches. Green Bay was staying in that zone. They moved Jefferson around. That's where you saw the mismatches of a Preston Smith having to cover him a little bit. Quay Walker. That's why you get those matchups. But here's the thing. I understand, shadowing Jair Alexander on one player changes up a little bit what you want to do on defense, changes up your philosophy a little bit. As Matt LaFleur said after the game yesterday, we wouldn't have been able to play in zone a lot and all that if we did that, blah, 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 blah. Get that. But at the same time, Justin Jefferson was wrecking you guys. You had no answer. No offense to Stokes. No offense to Douglas. No offense to the safeties of Savage and Amos. But Justin Jefferson was having your way. At some point, you need to adapt. You need to adjust. And at some point, you just need to put a dude on a dude. You got to put Jair Alexander, 23, on 18. Greg Olsen, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but Greg Olsen mentioned in the telecast too. He's like, well, maybe, they don't want to put Jair covering the slots or moving them inside a lot because, get caught up in traffic and maybe take some unnecessary hits, especially if there's some running plays and that. And they want to kind of keep him clean on the outside there. Okay, but don't tell that to Jair. I don't think Jair is going to shy away from that. I know Jair got hurt with a shoulder injury last year trying to take down Najee Harris. But don't you want your best defender on the opponent's best playmaker? Don't you want that? Try to take him out of that game. Now, I don't know if they would have significantly been able to stop Justin Jefferson. But I at least feel like if Alexander would have shadowed him or at least stayed on him, covered him the whole game, maybe Jefferson wouldn't have had 2 touchdowns at 180 yards. Heck, if you split that in half, would that have been a difference? I don't know. Who knows? It's a big what if. And I'm just a dude sitting here in a little studio in West Central Wisconsin here. Those people at 1265 Lombardi Avenue know a whole lot more than me. They know a whole lot more about what you all know. But just for me being the amateur that I am, looking at it from the outside, just my 2 cents worth, just my penny's worth, I think I'd want Jair going around and matching wits with number 18, Justin Jefferson. I think I would want that. It just seems like that matchup is better suited for Green Bay's defense. Does that mean they have to change some stuff? It does. But with all this talk, this all offseason, and my little coach's pep talk that I do on Fridays, all this talk about the offseason, all this talk in the training camp and preseason about this defense. First showing wasn't that great. It seemed like Minnesota really dominated the game more than what the box score or the final score tells us, 23-7. That's a 2-possession, 2-scoring game there. But it's like, oh, maybe it wasn't that Minnesota dominated. They dominated. Green Bay missed out on a few plays that could have been the difference there, but when plays needed to be made, Minnesota made them, not Green Bay. 4th and 1 at the goal line, Minnesota made the stop. Green Bay couldn't get in. Flip side, 4th and goal for Minnesota. When they're on offense, they go for it. They get it. They made the play. Minnesota made the plays. Green Bay didn't. It might be just a few plays could have changed the course, but you want to be that team on the other side there, you've got to be the team that makes those plays. Green Bay didn't do it. Now, it is only week 1. We got 16 more of these to go. And for the most part, a lot of you who have participated, or at least on the socials or texting, have all said, all right, we got 16 more games to go. Let's not panic. Let's not throw in the towel. And I hope nobody's like that. I hope nobody's calling for jobs or anything like that, kind of like what it was last year a little bit. But We'll see what it's like in the next couple of weeks. But it's Bears week now, people. So let's get ready for Bears week. So your homework assignments coming up here are: is this the crucial week for the Milwaukee Brewers? Is this their next week and a half? Will this kind of tell what their season's going to be, or how they're going to finish, I should say? Is this it? Is this the final stretch? And then we got to grind my gears Tuesday coming up as well tomorrow. So don't forget, get your list in for Grind My Gears Tuesday. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic Tuesday or Monday. Oh, I'm already looking forward to Tuesday. Have yourself a fantastic Monday, everybody. We'll do this again tomorrow morning, just past 6. Talk to you then.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1.
You're out, you're about, but you want your Dan Patrick. Well, good news, he goes everywhere with you. If you missed the show, you can podcast it. If you want to see the show, just go to Peacock, and we stream it live every weekday. Watch past episodes, too. The Dan Patrick Show, available anywhere you are, any way you want it.
Dan Patrick.
Hit me.
Touchdown, Buffalo, Stephon Diggs. Touchdown, Kansas City. Touchdown, touchdown, 49ers.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Don't build up to it. Hit me. Tell me something. And then get out.
Dan brings you the biggest guests and best interviews.
Kansas City fans look at that offense, and what are they going to think this year?
I think they'll take a step back before they take a step forward. There'll be some growing pains with Juju Smith-Schuster, with the rookie Sky Moore, but the Chiefs made a decision to be better everywhere. Just to have a better roster rather than just a great receiving core. I think the Chiefs in the long term are going to be a better team because they essentially replaced Tyreek Hill with 5 players.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hope you had a great weekend, everybody. Boy, if you're in a survivor pool, I'd love to know how you survived. A lot of surprises